We'll see who counts the food.
This is the Troll live with JustinFREAKIN.
What I'm getting ready to tell you is the most Appalachian thing I've ever said on this stream. And I realized just a couple of days ago I talked about how my aunt used to fill me up and I flirted with my cousin. But what I'm getting ready to say is the most Appalachian thing I will ever say on stream. Last night, a possum got loose in my apartment. This happened when I was on stream. I was playing Final Fantasy VII. There's audio of it. There is audio of it. Media Winch and Drake were in here watching me play Final Fantasy VII. And heard the whole ordeal, me yelling at the possum. This is like 4 a.m. my time. The attempt to trap it in my sink that did not work. I tried to trap it in my sink and drown it, and that didn't work. It's alive. It's outside of my apartment and alive, but not for me trying to kill it multiple times. I tried to get it out alive first, but it didn't seem like it wanted to go out alive. So I was okay with taking out a carcass, but I never knew how fucking tough possums were. So I will put that audio up on YouTube whenever I get it right. I'll go in and kind of chop it up to because like I have to take the headset off. It was about Smokey size, yes. The cats were absolutely useless. Well, I don't know. Smokey's big. It was not a full-grown possum. You hit one with the truck once and it walked away. I believe it. That's apparently their thing. They roll up into a ball and you can beat the shit out of them, and then they're still going. The little shit was sitting on the back of my sink looking at me. Yes, it tried to play dead. Yes, Witchmaster. Multiple times it tried to play dead. That's why, like, so I get off stream last night. We watched Kneecap and Dochi. Both were excellent. Both. Fantastic shows. So if you missed Kneecap and Dochi, you're lost. We watched that on Twitch. So finish up, it's like midnight, something like that. I'm making dinner. I made spaghetti last night. And I needed to wash dishes. So I wash dishes, I make spaghetti. So it's like 1 o'clock. I sit down, I have my spaghetti at like 1 to 1:30 or so. I get up to go put my bowl in the sink. And, you know, furry things running by me. I've got 3 cats. So it's not unusual. But a furry thing ran by me. I'm at the sink, and a furry thing runs by me, and it has like a rat fucking tail. And it goes in between my sink and my stove. There's like a crack in between the two of them. And it gets right in between it. And like you see its nose and its eyes and shit looking at me. It's staring at me from the crack. So I take all this furniture over here and I kind of form a barrier because I don't want it going in my living room. The cats are completely useless. So I herd the cats up and put them in the closet. All 3 of them, because the kitchen, my front door is leading into the kitchen. So the opossum is like 5 feet, 10 feet tops from the front door. So my plan is put the cats up, open the front door. I've got a barrier set up where it can't get into like the living room area. So I try to get it out of the crack with a broom so that I can shoo it the fuck out. And it does not want to come out of there. So I'm hitting it, trying to get it to move. And it's taking it. It's like it likes it. This is a fucking masochist or some shit. So I'm just like smacking the shit out of it. So I figure I've killed it. I'm like, there's nothing that can fucking survive this. And it stops scurrying. The cats stop acting like they're, onto something. So I just kind of go about my business, and I'm wanting to play video games. This is the one thing I wanted to do last night. I wanted to play fucking video games. So I sit down in my recliner. I got my bowl. I got a glass of chocolate milk. I'm ready to go play fucking Final Fantasy VII. So I'm just, and like Media Winch gets in there by the time this all happens, I start hearing shit in the kitchen. I'm like, that better be a cat in my kitchen fucking around and not that fucking possum. And I get up, it's on the back of my sink just looking at me. None of the cats acting like something's going on. I'm like, there's a fucking possum in the kitchen. Why are you not doing anything, cats? They don't give a shit. Now they are, like, 2 of them are geriatric. I've got older cats, so I guess. So, like, I'm on stream, headset on, talking. Finally, what I got it to do was it balled up into a ball. After I poked it a few times, I was able to take the broom and pick it up. And then I went to sling it out the front door, but I missed and hit the door, and it flipped around behind the door. But then I was able to kind of sweep it out to the front porch. So, it's alive. I got it out alive. You can't call animal control in the middle of the goddamn night. Flo, Dougie, Holiday, Witchmaster, Igloo, my friend. I hear something chirping. If I have some other kind of animal in here, I swear. Get attacked by a bat or something. And Drake was like, how far out in the woods do you live? I live in the middle of a city. I don't live out in the woods. I don't have a car. I couldn't live out in the woods. I live in the middle of a fucking city. I walk everywhere. That was my night. How was your night? I'm not high enough for this shit. Avalon. Oh my God, did you just miss the whole possum thing? That's the news of mine. Be glad I didn't just fucking ditch the show because I'm traumatized by a possum being in my goddamn apartment. I messaged Curiouser at like 2:33, whenever it was. I would not normally message her in the middle of the night, as she's now a day walker, but I knew she was leaving for Denver. Like this morning, I knew she was leaving in like 5 or something. So I messaged her thinking she might already be up, and she'll come over here and she'll like sweet talk the opossum out. She did not. I was really wanting somebody to come take care of the opossum. I like that I said at 1:47 a.m. there is a possum in my kitchen. At 3:30 she messaged back, "Did you offer it a snack?" That's what she said to me. And then at 9 a.m. she said, "Well, I'm curious. Are you keeping the little buddy?" I did not offer it a snack. I offered it a trip out my front door. That's what happened. Warlord, Avalon, welcome in. Let's try to plow through this news really fast. Maybe we'll watch some TV afterwards. Maybe I'll just get off of here and... My Lord, welcome in. Maybe I'll just get off of here and try to play some video games. Because I didn't get to... There is something chirping. There is another fucking animal in my apartment. This one was probably cool. He was scared. I shouldn't have been so mean to him, but also I wanted him out of my apartment. And I did not want him to get into this area, or her. I did not want them in my living room. I wanted to keep them confined to the kitchen, and I did not want them in my bathroom. I was scared to go in the bathroom because, like, there's a crack under the bathroom door. He probably could get under it to get in the bathroom with me. Is one of them in the center? Do they have 3 in a row? I watched Superman over the weekend. And Warlord, I asked Warlord if he'd seen it. Warlord told me no. Because it was anti-David Ben-Gurion propaganda, to which I was like, who? Who's that? That is the first prime minister of Israel, apparently. And boy, Warlord sent me a picture. I'm like, my God, that is the villain from Superman. Yes, Avalon. Way better than I thought it was going to be. Like, I'm not a superhero movie kind of guy. That is a fantastic movie. Flash, good evening. A video of warlord's niece threatening an immigrant with a hatchet. I believe it. But yeah, the villain looked exactly like this motherfucking first Israeli prime minister. It is the exact same guy. So it's two fictitious states, but basically Superman stops Israel from attacking Gaza. That's the premise of the movie, and everybody in America is mad at him for stopping the business community is mad at him for stopping Israel from attacking Gaza. That's basically the premise of the movie. Hawk Girl was the one with the hammer, right? Because she's in it. Not the Justice League, the Justice Gang. That was good. It's a Mace. Okay. It's a Nancy Mace. Anyway, I brought this up about David Ben-Gurion because we're getting ready to talk about Israel being complete shitheads. A volunteer doctor from Gaza's Nasser Medical Complex is speaking out after the IDF strike, two strikes.
I'm joined now by Dr. Adam Hamawi. He is a doctor and former U.S. Army combat surgeon, but he also worked as a volunteer at that hospital in Gaza where this deadly strike took place. Welcome in, doctor. It is good to have you. You knew several of the people who were killed in this attack. What can you tell us about them? And also, what can you tell us about some of the work that was being done at this hospital, not just yesterday, but also when you were there?
Thank you very much for having me. Yes, this is, personal because not only did I stay and work there for 2 weeks earlier this year, but I knew a couple of the journalists that were killed. I met them actually last year when I was there the first time. And, this is just, it's consistent with the systematic attacks that have been on the hospitals and the healthcare workers and the journalists since since this all began 2 years ago. It's just continues to happen.
Go back further, my friend.
This is just the latest example.
Now, doctor, the Israeli military has said that they were targeting a camera that they say was either on or in or nearby that hospital that was feeding images of Israeli troops. Now, that explanation doesn't necessarily explain why there were two strikes, one initial strike.
Turned out to be a Reuters camera, by the way.
Those journalists and aid workers who then rushed to the scene after the first strike. But what is your reaction when you hear that from the IDF?
I mean, it's just the same thing over and over again. They're just coming up with excuses. These are journalists. It's well known. They're very clear about who they are. They wear press badges. They, a strike did happen, and they came to cover what was the injured, like is expected and what's been happening since the beginning of the war. So this seems like it was planned. After the first strike, they found the journalists who were carrying cameras because that's what they do, and then they struck them. And this is not the first instance where this happens. I mean, to strike someone with like a Hamas camera, I mean, that's just silly. These are targeted. 240 journalists have been killed over the last 2 years. That's more than ever been documented. And they're not all, terrorists as they claim to be. This is why we're asking for independent observers, because Israel keeps claiming, these silly claims, and we keep saying that this is not happening. The humanitarians that have been there, the doctors and the nurses that have been there, the journalists that are documenting all say otherwise. So it's really, their excuse again for, violating international law and continuing this genocide.
Now, you were inside, again, that hospital. The Israeli government has said over the course of this conflict, and the U.S. government has said this as well, that their intelligence is that in the cases of some, and in some cases, a lot of these hospitals that are hit with strikes, there are Hamas combatants using them as cover, essentially using the civilians there as human shields, is what some IDF officials have said. Is that true to your experience there? Were there Hamas combatants in those hospitals at the time you were there?
So my personal experience, the experience of hundreds of other doctors and healthcare workers and nurses who have been there over the last 2 years, the experience of the humanitarian workers, and really all the NGOs say otherwise. So until they bring, another third-party observer in there, their intelligence is just wrong. And even if there were injured combatants, which, if that happens, it's still against international law to hit the hospital for that case. In terms of operations and people actually fighters that are actively in, that has not been observed by anyone that's been in these hospitals over the last 2 years.
Dr.
Including
Adam
myself.
Dr. Adam Hamawi.
That video.
Sir.
Thank you.
So that was a doctor speaking to the American press. Let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go to Channel 4, who's done an amazing job of covering the siege on Gaza.
Some of the most harrowing images coming out of Gaza were filmed by this freelance journalist, Mariam Daka. Not anymore. She was with 4 other journalists. Some of them snapped this selfie just hours before the attack. One of them was even live streaming the scene for the news agency Reuters. Cameraman Hussam al-Masri was killed, along with Mohammed Salama, who...
And that's exactly why they were killed, because they were live streaming. They were showing Israel's atrocities.
...for Al Jazeera and Middle East Eye, and his colleague Ahmad Abu Aziz. The attack was a double-tap strike, with one missile hitting first, and then you see another moments later as rescue crews arrive. Mariam would often base herself at the hospital in
as rescue crews arrive.
Images like these of the war's youngest victims. The 33-year-old could have left. She sent her son abroad to safety to stay with relatives, but chose to remain and document the destruction. With almost 200 journalists now killed in Gaza, her sister said she knew she would suffer the same fate as her colleagues and friends.
Yesterday she called me and said, "Hey sister, I would like to have coffee with you." She was saying goodbye to us. I went to her and stayed up late. I usually go to her every day. Yesterday we laughed a lot and she started showing us memories. She said, "When I die and when I am martyred," I responded, "Who will you leave us for?" And then she said, "There is nothing left. It's done. Today or tomorrow, I will be martyred."
Her story is a snapshot of the suffering in Gaza. Her mother, unable to get proper treatment, died from cancer 4 months ago. She had given a kidney to her father, and now her son is an orphan. At the White House, it appeared that a journalist broke the news to President Trump. This was his reaction.
In Gaza that killed 20 people, including 5 journalists.
When did this happen?
This happened overnight, today.
I didn't know that. No.
Any reaction to this? Are you
Well,
going
I'm
to
not
talk to
happy
the Prime
about it.
Minister?
I don't want to see it. At the same time, we have to end that whole nightmare. I'm the one that got the hostages out. I got them out.
What?
And yet another sign that perhaps only Trump can influence the actions of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. An hour later,
I guess he's talking about the handful they released during the
claiming
ceasefire.
the hospital strike was a tragic mishap, saying Israel values the work of journalists, medical staff and all civilians. The military authorities are conducting a thorough investigation. International journalists aren't allowed to independently film inside Gaza because Israel refuses to allow it. Today, on the streets of Tel Aviv, there is little mention of the deaths in Gaza. Israelis are once again calling on President Trump to bring home the remaining hostages. Families of those being held in Gaza and their supporters staged nationwide protests.
I expect the Israeli government to immediately accept the deal that's on the table and to start returning our
There's
hostages
been a deal on the table since October 9th.
that are dying there in Gaza and to end the disaster that's going on in Gaza, to end this war immediately. And I expect President Trump to do all in his power to bring our people back home like he did until now. He has to end this tragedy.
Citing no evidence, Trump has said in the next 2 to 3 weeks there's going to be a pretty conclusive ending to the conflict. Everyone here wants to believe it. But
Doubt.
Israelis block highways. Their military's tanks are moving closer to the border ahead of a fresh offensive on Gaza City, where airstrikes continued, killing dozens overnight. Amjad Rashid said her neighbour's house was hit while they were sleeping. She says she doesn't know how to talk, what to say, or what to do. She has simply run out of words. We're now joined by
yes, Trump constantly says 2 weeks on things.
I wanted to start by asking you, how are the killings of journalists in Gaza covered in the Israeli media?
Well, the Israeli media focuses more not on the killing, not on the killing of journalists, but on how what's going on in Gaza will reflect on Israeli image abroad and might harden the pressure to force Israel to stop the war. The facts on the ground come in only later, if at all. The focus is, this doesn't look good, and what can we do to make sure that the Israeli narrative is spread more effectively abroad?
And what about the language that we see in Israeli media? We know that the Israeli military often call these media workers terrorists. Is that then echoed on Israeli media channels as well?
Probably.
Well, it's not a clear cut. You have the far-right Israeli media. Just yesterday, the chief commentator there called to eliminate all journalists in Gaza, which is insane, of course. But then you have
I actually have that clip. Would you like to see it? I didn't put it on the list because, but I do have that clip here. Hold on. I think I got this from Middle East Eye. That might have been Drop Site News. Hold on. Yes, it is possible that the message of the attack on the journalist again in goddamn. Can I slow this down? Yes, it's possible that the message of the attack on the journalists, again in quotes, these are Nukba men in every way, is the understanding in Israel of how much damage those who transmitted the pictures of the famine and the one side of Hamas have done. They continue the legacy of Yahya Sinwar in a so-called journalism. Today it was a Palestinian who was on behalf of Reuters. An international agency. So just think about how much damage these journalists, in quotes, journalists, terrorists have done. Or you can call them Nakba journalists. How much damage they have done to Israel. And it's 2 years later, these journalists have in fact shaped a picture of the solution of the situation in a conscious image. Solution was a Freudian slip on my part there. A picture of the situation in a conscious image for a long time of Gaza, part of which made the war possible, and later enabled the legitimacy of Hamas. It can be said that we are almost not in the conscious field, unfortunately. And if Israel decides to eliminate the journalists, then it's better late than never. And just to understand, these journalists who hide in hospitals, who open war rooms there, who broadcast the world a completely opposite picture, still serve Hamas's interests. It can be said that the tip of Hamas's military wing is those Nakba journalists. And therefore Israel did well to eliminate them. In my opinion, it's too late, and there are many others who are still doing image and conscious damage in the battle, which we unfortunately are not really excelling at. So yeah, I decided not to put this on my list because I was like, one commentator doesn't reflect the whole of Israel and their opinions on things. So that's why I didn't want to highlight him. But since they brought it up in the report, and that does give you, his description of it was nowhere near as bad as what the man actually said.
Mainstream media, and then they do make the difference between former Al Jazeera workers who are considered terrorists by the IDF and are called terrorists by the Israeli media, and those specific freelance journalists from yesterday who work for international respected agencies, and it was reported that they were not considered terrorists and were not targeted. That's the official line.
That these journalists were not targeted, that this was what Netanyahu is calling a tragic mishap.
Exactly. The Israeli media follows step by step with IDF spokesperson narrative. If the IDF spokesperson say, look, we have evidence these are terrorists, the Israeli media won't bother to make checks or independent inquiries. They'll go with that. If the IDF spokesperson and Netanyahu say this was a mishap or sorry, it wasn't the aim of the attack, the media will go along with that as well.
So would you say there's a lot of self-censorship when it comes to reporting the war in Gaza inside Israel?
Oh, absolutely. I think most of the censorship regarding this war is self-censorship. You know, we have a military censorship in Israel that forces all journalists to get a clearance.
Netanyahu is Hamas.
Which could be sensitive for the national security. But the most of the censorship in Israel is self-censorship, and not just because journalists think they might get a backlash from the public. I think a lot of Israeli journalists don't think they should publish material about what's going on in Gaza. Their own opinion is we should support the war effort and not really be journalists.
What are Israelis seeing on the mainstream news channels in Israel from Gaza these days? Are they seeing pictures of starvation? Are they seeing pictures of the endless suffering of civilians?
The focus is not the suffering.
Nope.
Again, the focus is the narrative war between the Hamas propaganda campaign about the suffering in Gaza. Of course, in every war, you have some people going to get hurt, some other people will be hungry, that's usual. But the Hamas, according to Israeli media, amplifies that and turns it into another part of the terror propaganda, right? And there's a sort of a narrative conflict between Hamas and Israel narrative that says we're letting a lot of humanitarian aid coming in, and you do see, pictures of like a sack of potatoes that nobody wanted on the side of the street. How can there be hunger if you see one single sack of potatoes, you don't know exactly where in the Gaza Strip, that nobody has bothered to pick up?
One of my favorites was the IDF shared a video from back in the spring. There was like a restaurant showing off some of the dishes that they had. And like it was like a upscale restaurant. And the IDF says like, see, there's no famine in Gaza. Absurd.
So, the cracks in the narrative of no hunger at all are there because the pictures, it's hard to deny them. But Israeli media tends to focus on separate incidents, sort of, either lies or exaggerations. The Israeli media focuses on that in order not to really report about the tens of thousands of people in severe malnutrition situation.
And how much do Israelis follow local media channels? And how much does what Israelis see in the media then reflect public opinion on the streets?
They follow it very much. I mean, everyone can open the cell phone and get Channel 4 or the New York Times or whatever. The self-censorship is not only from the journalists, it's also from the public. The public does not want to know and does not bother to get out of this dome of ignorance that the Israeli media has created. The Israeli public opinion is very much shaped by the Israeli media, and I would say the Israeli media holds a lot of responsibility to the fact that most Israelis don't care about what's going on to the Palestinians living in Gaza.
We know that there are lots of people out on the streets today. The families representing the hostages are calling for this day of action to end the war. Are we seeing a lot more people out on the streets than we were a few months ago? Is this public opinion shifting on the streets, do you think?
Well, the demonstrations have become larger in recent weeks. They were already as large as they are today at the beginning of the war and several months after that. I'm not sure that it is a demonstration of a major shift of opinion. The Israeli anti-Netanyahu camp very much wants to see this government ending and replaced by a different government, very much wants to see the hostages back. But it doesn't mean that this same anti-Netanyahu camp is out in the streets for humanitarian reasons because they are worried about what's going on in Gaza to the Palestinians. They are more worried, like you said, about the hostages, and Netanyahu himself attracts a lot of hostility. Opinion polls still show that a majority of Israeli citizens, Jewish Israeli citizens, don't care about what's going on in Gaza and don't think that Israel should provide more humanitarian aid.
Thanks so much, Oren Posco, for joining us.
We kept mentioning the camera, the Hamas camera. This is Dropsite News reporting. Reuters calls its own camera a Hamas camera in a headline about Israel's initial findings in its inquiry into the murder of a Reuters journalist killed in the first round of a double-tap strike on Gaza's Nasser hospital yesterday, along with 4 other journalists. Initial inquiry says Hamas camera was the target of Israeli strike that killed journalists. That's their camera! Literally their camera! What world are we living in? I understand as a journalist that what they're citing here. They're citing Israel. Israel said Hamas camera. They're not. But, like a news organization kind of has a duty to say that Israel is lying about Hamas camera, because they are. They are. All right, these first few stories, they don't have anything to do with each other. Usually we do like foreign affairs and then we do yada, yada, yada. This is the story that I think is going to be a much bigger story than what anybody is contemplating. It's going to send beef prices soaring. It's gonna be a weird fall for us here in the U.S. as we have the first human case of the screwworm parasite here in this country.
A dubious first for the United States, with the country's first confirmed case of New World screwworm in Maryland, according to health officials there. This is a flesh-eating parasite that officials say was found earlier this month in somebody who had recently traveled to El Salvador. The good news, they're saying that the risk this spreads is very low. This parasitic worm is usually found in animals, It can be found in pets, for example, but it can be pretty damaging beyond that. It can kill whole herds of cattle. And the USDA estimates a bad outbreak could devastate the beef industry in Texas to the tune of nearly $2 billion. I want to bring in ABC medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel. Doc?
It is currently in Mexico. It is heading north right now. They are preparing in Texas for when it gets there.
Dr. Kavita Patel, you knew if there was a flesh-eating parasite, we were going to be talking about it on this show and what we need to know, right? We thought this was eradicated, didn't we? Didn't we think this was pretty much wiped out?
Haley Jackson, succubus confirmed.
Yeah, you're right, Hallie. It was eradicated. This was done decades ago for a fascinating mechanism. We actually raised billions of sterilized screwworm flies. We raise the flies, sterilize them with radiation, and then drop them out of planes. You feel like this is a science fiction movie. It was real. Over Mexico and Central America, because the flies can't reproduce, they can't propagate the screwworm fly. So that's basically how we created this barrier zone, which has worked for decades until recently, as it's broken down kind of in that Panama, Colombia region, and then it can spread from there.
Is it not at all bad for humans? Is it a little bad for humans? Can it not spread to humans? Like, how concerned should we be?
Yeah, so the concern, obviously, for humans is there. It's treatable. So it's not just that we need to identify it, but it's also, Hallie, the implication for cattle and for crops and for people, for animals. So it's people, animals, all of our ecosystem that can be exposed to this. So what happens basically is they kind of hatch their eggs and larvae into like an open wound. And this can be in any animal, including the human, but it can be in cattle. And then once the eggs hatch, they then actually eat the flesh. And unfortunately, obviously, that cannot do any good for any sort of cattle ranchers or ranchers and farmers in general. And it results in culling these crops. And if it can happen to a human, whether it's from travel exposure, weakened immune systems, that's exactly how we saw this Maryland case, fruit grass.
Can it
but
spread?
Treatable, recognizable.
Okay.
It can, humans can't, it can. Yes, it can spread, but this is again why we're seeing that reproduction of those sterilized flies come back into the forefront, because what we need to do is really kind of stop this from propagating and any reinfestation that could happen. So that's the most important.
So we need to depend on our government to work with other governments to take preemptive measures.
Anything or recognizing it, just as this individual did.
Dr. Kavita Patel, we're glad to have you on, walking us through all of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking.
Shut up, Tom Llama.
ABC News app, or watch live on our YouTube channel.
I miss Lester. Flash, I don't think I told you good evening. Lenny, my friend. Quesadilla. Holiday. DJ Dub. Libertad. Flo. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. I think I missed Kaya last night. Kaya, if you're here, I love you. I miss you. Sorry if I didn't give you a shout out. You were also talking to me. I was in the middle of something. Sometimes I might be doing stories that I'm going to clip and put on YouTube, so I might not acknowledge things. I'm trying to do like people's shout outs more like in between stories, so I can chop them up and put them on YouTube. And I'm trying not to go off on tangents and talk about crazy shit in the middle of stories I might clip and put on YouTube. But it's hard. It's hard. Just another day in mass hoax shooting USA. We have a string of swatting incidences at college campuses around the country.
For many college students, there's been a trend of swatting incidents and hoaxes at campuses across the country. According to the
Lenny, thank you for throwing out the gift sub.
The malicious act of making false calls to emergency services to report an incident with the goal of prompting a large-scale law enforcement response.
Gifted 3 months. Thank you, my friend.
Universities nationwide have been the target of active shooter hoaxes in just the last week. That includes incidents today at West Virginia University and the University
Shout out to Jeff.
Kentucky. And CBS News Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Skanga joins me now. Nicole, good to see you. What's behind
Nicole has pretty hair
of swatting incidents on college campuses?
Yeah, a scary nationwide trend and map, quite frankly. Since last week, there have been swatting incidents, false reports of on-campus shootings, spurring these massive law enforcement responses in some cases at least 11 universities nationwide. All of this coinciding, by the way, with move-in days, first week of classes. Now, authorities have not yet determined a motivation or whether or not...
Wow, it's way more than I thought it was. Like, we've only reported on like 4 of these.
These hoax threats are coordinated, but at least 2 of them, both on the campus of Villanova University, are under investigation by the FBI. And as you mentioned, the latest happened just today at University of Kentucky and West Virginia University. But this criminal trend is really more than just a series of prank calls. It drains law enforcement resources, it costs thousands of dollars, and it puts innocent people at risk, according to law enforcement officials.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is a terrifying trend and one that has had deadly consequences in the past. So what is law enforcement, including the FBI, doing to prevent and deter these types of incidents?
We've seen law enforcement take steps to establish information sharing and really try to wrap their arms around this problem. So back in 2023,
give it a big hug.
I even set up a center to track these kinds of swatting incidents. And since then, they say that hundreds of law enforcement agencies have reported thousands of hoax calls. We know the FBI also sets up swatting registries to flag high-risk addresses. And some emergency dispatchers are now training to recognize phony or coordinated hoax calls. And of course, public information campaigns also offer potential targets advice on limiting information available to possible swatters online. Experts do argue, though, that artificial intelligence has accelerated the problem. Technology now allows criminals to more easily spoof phone numbers and IP addresses, so an added challenge for law enforcement.
So you're talking about public awareness, you're talking about enhanced training, but what about the individuals who have been caught with swatting? What consequences have they faced and could they face?
Yeah, we're seeing more consequences here. In May, a Wisconsin man was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison after federal authorities say he participated in a 1-week swatting spree. And back in February, a California teen
was put behind
bars for 2 years after making over 375 of these fake and threatening calls. Now, under federal law, punishment for swatting can include years or even life in prison, depending on the harm.
I don't know about life.
And in states like California, anyone convicted of swatting is also required to pay back agencies who respond to the scene up to $10,000.
Nicole Skanga reporting for us from Washington on this disturbing trend. Nicole, we know you'll stay on top of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. CBS doesn't have anybody at the end of theirs to yell at. Oh, who even is the CBS head anchor? Is it Major Garrett? Shut up, Major Garrett. I don't think he is. Who does the CBS Evening News? Is it Nora O'Donnell? Is the co-host? Who's the host? Who's the fucking host? Oh, it is Nora O'Donnell. No. John Dickerson, Maurice Du Bois took over in 2024. O'Donnell has stepped down. Somebody who says she isn't stepping down is the Federal Reserve governor that Trump said he fired last night.
For the first time in American history, a president is trying to fire a member of the Federal Reserve's Board of Governors.
President Trump says he is firing Lisa Cook, accusing her of making false statements on one or more mortgage agreements.
He is accusing her. She has been accused of fraud. That is so far what she has done. She's been accused of fraud. The president has been convicted of fraud. Crazy. This is a pretense for ousting her.
President Trump escalating his battle against the Federal Reserve, announcing he's firing a member of its board of governors, Lisa Cook. Trump accusing Cook of making false statements on one or more mortgage agreements. Trump releasing a letter on social media writing, "I have determined that there is sufficient cause to remove you from your position. Cook has not been charged with a crime." Cook is the first black woman to serve on the Fed's board. She says President Trump has no authority to fire her, saying she will continue to carry out her duties, adding, "I will not resign." It's Trump's latest swipe at the Federal Reserve, an independent agency. The president has been bashing Fed Chair Jerome Powell for months for not lowering interest rates.
He avoided him.
Lowest interest rate anywhere in the world, and we don't. Jerome Powell has done a terrible job.
The president does have the ability to fire a Fed governor.
She's black and she was appointed by Biden, and it swings the balance of power in favor of Trump. So, like, totally.
The president does have the ability to fire a Fed governor if he establishes cause, but it's not clear if he has done that. This could go all the way to the Supreme Court. Perry Russom, ABC News, Washington.
It's just sad that the Supreme Court might side with Trump. It is clearly unlawful what he did. But we have a bought and paid for Supreme Court, so it's hard telling how they will actually rule, and that's fucking sad. Let's go to Bloomberg to talk about the ramifications of this supposed firing.
What would it mean for his influence over the central bank?
Sure. So if the president is successful in his bid to oust Governor Cook, that would give him another opening, to another vacancy to appoint someone on the Fed board in Washington. There are 7 governors on the board, and then that includes the chairman. Right now, there are 2 Republican appointees. Trump has nominated a third, and that nomination is pending because we had a Fed governor resign in early August, Governor Adriana Kugler. Now, if there's another governor who steps down, 4 out of the 7, that would give him a majority on the Fed board, which would, potentially mean he has 4 individuals that would presumably or could potentially support his bid for lower interest rates. I mean, that is the big push that he's been making throughout the year. Yes. And we heard former Vice Chair Lil Brainerd talking about it on Bloomberg TV earlier, that it's not really about Governor Cook. It seems to be part of this bigger effort to apply pressure on the Fed.
Yeah, what would it mean, though, to reach beyond Washington and into these regions?
Sure. So if you had a majority on the Fed board, the board operates independently from the 12 banks. They're run by boards of directors. They choose their own leaders. But essentially, one idea that's gotten a lot of heightened attention today after Lisa Cook's firing is this process where the board has to reauthorize every 5 years the 12 presidents of the regional banks. And so one concern now, and an idea that I think administration officials are aware of this authority, is that if you had 4 people on the board who didn't want to vote to reauthorize some of these regional presidents, thought that they either weren't doing a good job, or maybe you didn't like that they weren't supporting your calls for lower rates, that maybe you could exert some pressure there, and appeal to board members that were aligned with your views on that issue. I mean, this is all, it's a bit hypothetical. It's down the line, but this is something that administration officials are thinking about and looking at.
Not hypothetical at all. Trump is absolutely doing this for nefarious purposes. Tourists are reacting to the takeover of Washington, D.C. by federal troops who are now armed.
It's an occupation, that it is not about crime. I've seen a lot of National Guard here, knowing that they started being able to carry handguns, and then Trump's executive order just, I think yesterday, that allowing Pete Hegseth to create specially trained units so they can walk the streets as law enforcement. So I think that this is I think it's a power move.
My wife and I were here.
Of course it's a power move.
And, it's actually nice. It's welcome. I think that it doesn't make us feel any more unsafe, or I think it makes us feel much safer, and I appreciate the presence.
Really?
I've said to them, because I talked to the National Guard, I've said this doesn't make me feel safer.
Yeah, I think it needs the attention that it's been given. Yeah, I mean, you can see different cities all over the United States that are having problems, and
dude literally looks like PC Principal from South Park. What the? No wonder he has that opinion. Tell me that's not the same guy. It's the exact same facial hair. Same haircut, almost the same glasses. PC Principal has like the aerodynamic ones. His are more rounded.
I've said to them, because I talked to the National Guard, I've said this doesn't make me feel safer.
Yeah, I think it needs the attention that it's been given. Yeah, I mean, you can see different cities all over the United States that are having problems, and I mean, just from the things we've been hearing even around town today, and from other people that have been here, the presence is welcome, and I think that anything that we can do to make the cities of the United States safer is better.
Soup, Hot Boy, thank you for the raid. Welcome in, Master Goosey. Thread, Objectively, Friends, so glad to have you. If you're new here, I'm Justin Freakin. We found out what that news be doing Sunday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin.
All we're establishing is this guy's wicked, sick aesthetic.
Not high enough for this shit.
I guess I gotta thank Matt Walsh for introducing me to Justin Freakin.
Hey there, y'all. We're about to get stupid, locked into what that news be doing. Fu Manchu and a slick bandana, colder than ice, smoother than Santana. Audio, video, chat and calls. Right-wing nut jobs haunt the halls. What you wanna watch? Hey, what you think? And there's only one choice. It's Justin Freakin.
The guy's, he's a formidable voice in the call.
Light one up and tip one back. It's a right to be high. Let's grab a snack. It's fucking news, quick panic, attack, and play your cards right and get a titty slap. Jump in Discords, have some fun. The man will talk to everyone. Get high and try to debate. When shit pops off, chat thinks it's great. What do you think you're doing? Join the troll patrol. Wherever discourse is brewing, he gives it that southern drawl.
So let's go ahead and bring in Justin. Hey Justin, how's it going, brother?
First of all, I want to say you're poser South. I'm in Alabama. I'm the real South.
Okay, all right. So why don't you tell us what it takes to be a man?
Well, I don't know. I'm in Alabama and I'll fuck a man in a dress. Why won't you fuck a man in a dress? Are you that insecure that you won't fuck a man in a dress?
That's fantastic. So you're okay with that, right?
Yeah. Why wouldn't I be?
Right-wingers are morons.
Light one it and hit one back. One more click before we hit the set an alert when that shit goes live. Social fucking support and hit subscribe. Light one up and take a hit. He does no harm, but it takes no shit. He's the last one standing when the ship is sinking. Let's take another rip for Justin Freakin.
Light one up, tip one back. I'm Justin Freakin.
Not high enough for this shit.
You heard Winchy Poo. Light one up, tip one back. Flash, we watched that thing the other night. We're like, this is everything Alex Jones always warned about, and they're all for it. All the people that were into the conspiracy theories saying they were going to do a martial law and take over American cities. They're into it now. They're eating this shit up. Like ICE pushing to deport like ICE pushing to deport a double amputee who has been in the U.S. since the age of 2. Rodney Taylor, 46, who came to the United States from Liberia at the age of 2 for medical treatment, was arrested by Immigration and Customs Enforcement in January and is awaiting a judge's decision on whether he will be deported. Newsweek confirmed in the ICE detainee tracker that Taylor is currently held at the Stewart Detention Center in Georgia. Taylor's detention and potential deportation come amid an immigration crackdown under the Trump administration, with the president having pledged to launch the largest mass deportation operation in U.S. history. However, Taylor was arrested by ICE days before the president began his second term. Immigrants residing in the country, both legally and illegally, with valid documentation such as green cards and visas, as well as those with criminal histories, have been detained. Many with past convictions, even from decades ago, have found themselves in ICE custody despite spending years without facing serious immigration problems. Some detainees have reported being held in inhumane and harsh conditions. Taylor came to the U.S. from Liberia as a child on a medical visa after losing both legs, according to an Atlanta news station. He has never returned to Liberia and was never granted U.S. citizenship. On January 15th, just 5 days before Trump took office, ICE agents with guns reportedly drawn arrested Taylor. His fiancée, Mildred Pierce, told Fox 5 Atlanta. Let's get that story. We got it. Really? You don't link to the fucking story? Bullshit, Newsweek. Taylor worked as a bar. Oh, we did do that story. We covered that back then. Taylor was arrested for burglary when he was 16, although he was later pardoned by the Georgia Board of Governors in 2010. I thought I had a pardon from the state. It was all behind me in the past. They brought it up, and it was shocking to me, Taylor told Fox 5 from his Stewart Detention Center jail in June. The center is owned by Core Civic. Because of course it is, making money. It is just another transfer of taxpayer dollars to private corporations. They're bleeding us fucking dry. Man apparently attacked an ICE agent in Florida. Sheriff Grady Judd held a press conference about it. I don't really want to listen to him. The sheriff said the incident unfolded on Tuesday morning on Reynolds Road. 2 ICE agents had followed Dennis Correa Miranda, 21, out of Reynolds Road due to him having a warrant for deportation. How would they know that? Authorities said Miranda was in a vehicle with 2 other people who were also not supposed to be in the country. Miranda was in the passenger seat of the vehicle, and an ICE agent walked to the passenger side of the car, informed Miranda that they were going to take him into custody. It was at that point a fight began. I'm told that the fight lasted about 5 minutes, the sheriff said, later emphasizing that 5 minutes is a very long tussle. Officials said Miranda was on top of the ICE agent when the second agent sprayed Miranda with pepper spray. Miranda then ran into the woods. The ICE agents chased after Miranda but said they lost him in the woods. Good! Polk County Sheriff's Office was then called to assist, launching a helicopter, drones, and sending out canine teams. Another $1 million deployment. They were just overwhelmed. The issues is ICE needs help, Judd said. Oh my God. Explaining that the agents were also monitoring the 2 other people in the car. The ICE agent who got into a fight with Miranda was taken to the hospital to be treated for a shoulder injury, but is expected to be okay. An employee at a nearby business eventually encountered Miranda hiding among several steel drums. Judd said Miranda asked the employee for water, but the employee felt something was off. The employee went inside. I can't believe you narked, you pieces of shit. The employee went inside and called 911, alerting law enforcement officers to Miranda's location. Judd held up a photo showing deputies taking Miranda, who was smiling, into custody. And the agents are smiling with him. This Shane Gillis looking fuck over here. We have him under arrest. He's smiling, the sheriff said. I bet we've wiped the smile off his face. Charged with battery of a law enforcement officer, resisting with violence, resisting without violence, false imprisonment, burglary of an occupied structure. The 2 other people who were in the car with Miranda cooperated, and law enforcement took them into custody. 5 minutes is a hell of a long time for a kerfuffle. Not even being a U.S. vet will protect you. We've covered multiple instances of vets being detained by ICE. Here's one that's fighting back. He's suing for his detention.
Democracy Now!, Democracy.
Take it away, Amy.
I'm Amy Goodman. We end today's show looking at the Trump administration's mass immigration raids as federal agents round up thousands of people nationwide, including U.S. citizens. George Redis is a 25-year-old U.S. citizen, a disabled Army veteran, who's taking on the federal government after he was detained by ICE for 3 days and nights without charge, arrested during a raid in July on a cannabis farm in Camarillo, California, where he worked as a security guard. Redis was driving to work when he encountered a checkpoint. He says agents broke his car window, pepper sprayed, and violently dragged him out from his vehicle. One officer put a knee on Redis's neck. Another put a knee on his back. During his time in custody, Redis says he was denied access to a lawyer, prevented from contacting his family, placed in an isolation cell. As he remained jailed, Redis missed his daughter's 3rd birthday. He's now filing a legal claim against the Trump administration. Jaime Alanis, a farm worker, died after falling from the roof of the greenhouse during that same immigration raid. For more, we're joined by George Redis, his attorney, Marie Miller, with the Institute for Justice as well. Thank you both for being with us. George, explain what happened. We told your story over and over again. It's a relief to be able to speak to you directly.
Yes. Did you want the story from the beginning?
Yes, please.
I was on my way to work like any other day, except today there was protests going on. There was cars. Apparently there was a raid on my work. And so when I show up, all this is going on. There's piles of cars. I make my way to the front, and there's a wall of ICE agents blocking from anyone from going. I pull up and I stop in front of them. I get out my car and try to explain that I'm a U.S. citizen, that I'm just trying to get to work. I'm not there to protest them. I'm not there to fight them. I'm just trying to get to work. I didn't think it would be a problem as long as I told them what was going on. They got hostile. They didn't care what I had to say. They started yelling at me to do different things. It was at that point they started walking towards me. I got back in my car and they surrounded my car. They reversed me to get out of the way for them. I got out of the way. Their cars drove by, and then it was after all that they reapproached my car. They threw tear gas behind me. The tear gas got into my car, and they started banging on my driver's side and passenger side window.
I mean, look at him flash.
ICE agents in front of my car telling me to reverse, telling me to pull over to the side, all while other agents are pulling on my door handle, trying to rip my door open, trying to get me out of the car, all while other agents are telling me to do different things. No one was in charge.
You told them you're a U.S. veteran. You told them you're a U.S. citizen. What was their response after they smashed your window?
They didn't give a shit.
The response was no response. I was guilty of anything they had thought I was. They didn't need an excuse for anything they did. They just did it.
So when did you join the military, and can you talk about how long you served?
I joined the military in 2018, and I served for 4 years.
And now you were serving as security on this farm?
Yes. I decided to take after security when I got out.
Mm-hmm. And when they...
Security at a weed farm.
The agents put their knee in your back, put their knee on your neck?
Yes. Yes, one agent put their knee on my neck and another agent put their knee on my back, all while like 4 or 5 other agents stood around and watched and just let it happen. They just stood there and watched.
Part of your jailing, you were held with a professor? Yes,
the very first night, they put us in a cell with one. They put me in a cell with one other person, and it was the professor who was arrested that day.
George, you missed your daughter's 3rd birthday?
Yes. Yes, I did. It's something I'll never get back. And it sucks.
Were you able to call home? Were you able to call a lawyer?
No, they didn't give me a chance to at all. I asked when I would be able to speak to a lawyer. They never gave me anything. They never let me call my family. They never told me what I was charged for. They just kind of threw me in there and didn't care. No reason to throw me.
They violated his rights.
I want to bring in Marie Miller with the Institute for Justice. Can you explain the legal course you're taking now with George Redis, U.S. Army veteran, disabled, security on this farm held for 3 days and nights?
Sure. So it's not easy to hold the federal government and its officials accountable when they violate individuals' constitutional rights. But George is trying, and he's doing everything he can to do that. What he's done now is file administrative claims against the federal agencies that are involved. And the reason for that is that there's a statute called the Federal Tort Claims Act. And it is one of the most viable ways to hold the federal government accountable for violating people's constitutional rights. But one requirement before a person can sue the federal government under that statute is that the person needs to file their claims with the responsible federal agencies first, giving those agencies a chance to resolve the claim themselves. And they have 6 months to do that. So this Federal Tort Claims Act puts in this 6-month waiting period before a person can even enter the courthouse door to sue the federal government for rights violations. And it's not the only way to hold the federal government accountable, but it's become one of the most viable ways in recent years, as other paths to accountability have been practically cut off for most people who are victims of civil rights violations by the federal government.
Marie Miller, officials at Homeland Security released a statement saying George Redis was arrested and has been released. He's not been charged. U.S. Attorney's Office is reviewing his case along with dozens of others for potential federal charges related to the execution of the federal search warrant in Camarillo. Your response?
Does she have some sort of like blurring? Like, does she have a tattoo on her neck she's blurring out or something? Like, it looks like she's like a frog and her jaws are going in and out. It's tripping me out.
There have been no charges brought. George was never told why he was being detained. When he was released, he was given a form that just says he was detained pursuant to arrest. That's no explanation for his 3-day, 3-night detention, much less without a phone call, without a hearing before a judge, without access to an attorney, without a shower, with pepper spray all over his body. These are basic violations of George's federal constitutional rights and his rights under California law.
And George, you were transported to a Navy base first?
Yes, I was transferred to the Port Hueneme Navy base.
And then?
First. And then from there, they did our fingerprints and took our picture. And from there, they took us to the detention facility in downtown LA.
George, if you can talk about what it means. I mean, you were an Iraq War veteran. You were in a law enforcement adjacent job, right, doing security. Has it changed your view of law enforcement in this country?
He was already pretty radical.
It changed my view of law enforcement because, I mean, we're a nation of laws. Someone has to uphold those laws. So it's just important to hold everyone accountable, to make sure that no one is above the law. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do. Everyone has to follow the law. Everyone needs to be held accountable. And I think that's super important, especially for people who don't get the chance to speak or are too scared to speak. Someone has to hold people accountable.
Marie Miller, I want to ask you finally, the Institute for Justice recently won a Supreme Court case with a family in Atlanta whose home was wrongly raided by an FBI SWAT team. We just have 30 seconds.
That's right. The Institute for Justice, along with the clients, won that case at the Supreme Court. That was a Federal Tort Claims Act case, and that case is back down at the 11th Circuit for further proceedings. Georgia's situation is proceeding under the same act, Federal Tort Claims Act, alongside other potential avenues for relief. And our position is that when officers violate federal constitutional rights, there has to be some way to hold them accountable in court. Otherwise, our rights are simply illusory.
I want to thank you for being with us. Marie Miller with the Institute for Justice and George Redis, 25.
I'm guessing that he was already had a pretty leftist view of law enforcement. That's just my opinion, but I don't know. A whistleblower says that Trump officials copied millions of Social Security numbers. Because Trump's out here making us safer, right? A whistleblower says that the former senior DOJ official now at the Social Security Administration copied the Social Security numbers, names, and birth dates of over 300 million Americans to a private section of the agency's cloud. That private cloud environment is accessible by other former DOJ employees at the SSA and is lacking adequate security, the whistleblower claims, potentially putting an enormous amount of private information at risk to being revealed and possibly used by identity thieves. A written complaint filed through the nonprofit Government Accountability Project, Charles Borges, the chief data officer at the Social Security Administration, claims that senior Trump appointees at the SSA, who were recently part of the Department of Government Efficiency team, made the copy in a way that constitutes violations of laws, rules, and regulations, abuse of authority, gross mismanagement, and creation of a substantial and specific threat to public health and safety. Borges says that career cybersecurity officials within the SSA described the decision to copy the data as very high risk and even discussed the possibility of having to reissue Social Security numbers to millions of Americans in the event the cloud server was breached. The copy of the data appears to have been set up inside the SSA's existing cloud infrastructure, which operates on Amazon Web Services. However, according to the complaint, the copied data had far fewer security measures in place to protect it than the SSA's standard protocols typically require. Well. Caller, you're on the Troll Patrol. What's going on?
Hey, man.
What's up?
Oh, I don't know if I'm looking at... Oh, I guess I'm not watching your stream. I saw you on... you popped up on YouTube.
Hell
for
yeah.
the first time.
Yeah.
Are you streaming live?
I am.
Oh, anyways. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I usually... Maybe you came into my algorithm. I usually watch guys like Parker get a job and the other guy, Dean Withers. And
have no idea who those are.
Oh, those guys are very, very successful.
Are you saying
streamers.
I'm not?
Oh, I don't know. I just saw you. I have no idea. No idea.
Hell yeah. Well, you just giving me a try for the first time, eh?
Yeah. Hold on, I'll close my door.
I take it you saw the argue with me about politics or something, right?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's it.
And what do you want to argue about?
No, I don't know. I don't want to just argue. Just want to maybe talk about what's going on here.
Oh, please.
In this crazy world.
That's what we do every night. We find out what that news be doing. What's on your mind?
Oh, cool. All right. I was watching. I had never seen this before, but I saw a clip of Donald Trump. I think on an escalator, and he was going one way, and there was this family going the other way with this little 10-year-old, and he said hi to the 10-year-old girl.
He said he'd be dating her soon.
And then he goes, "I'll be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?"
Yeah. That's from like 2012, 2013, something like that.
I'd never seen that before.
It's almost like he's a pedophile.
Almost?
Yeah, I was being sarcastic. I think you and I are going to agree. I don't think this is going to be much of an argument then.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know which way you fall.
Well, yeah, I mean, you agree he's a disgusting pedophile, right?
Well, I mean, I think that type of that type of comment would just completely.
And you hadn't seen that.
What if it was you? You know, what if that was you and your daughter and some guy you don't even know is pushing 60 says that?
He should be punched in the fucking face. But then I want to get back to like you said you just saw that.
Yeah.
We went through 3 election cycles and you just saw that?
Yeah. I'm not as hip as you are. I don't really follow stuff like that.
Isn't that well, I think there's 2 things at play. One, it's an indictment of our media institutions that wouldn't be well known. But also we could be siloed, right? Maybe like plenty of media institutions have covered it and you just didn't see it because there's a whole deluge of content going on out there. There's a fire hose of bullshit.
Yeah, it's nonstop. No, I agree.
Yeah, so that could be it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what else are you into? What do you think about the redistricting battle with Texas and California?
Well, yeah, Texas, they're trying everything they can to keep it from flipping into a blue state, you know. I mean, if the urban populations of Austin and Houston and Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, if they grow bigger, that, you know, there could definitely be a shift, and they're trying everything they can to stop that.
Well, let's hope, because Texas is gonna end up being like bigger than California in the Electoral College soon, possibly after the next census.
More people are moving into Texas, and I think California's population is net loss of year over year. I think Texas is the opposite, right?
California has seen a slight decrease in population, but overall you see Fox News saying there's a lot of people leaving California, and that's true. People make their money in California and then move to places like Tennessee and Florida that don't have income tax. But there's a replacement rate, right? So there are plenty of people moving to California because that's where the opportunity is.
Well, as of April 30th, California has reversed the 3-year population decline. Okay. So I guess they're going back up.
Yeah. It was kind of like a blip with the pandemic, but I also think maybe the year or 2 before they had slightly lost some people. But they are set to lose seats in a reapportionment that are probably going to go to Texas and Florida, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
Which
is that why they're doing that? I see. Okay.
Well, this is just when they come up on the census for 2030. Just if the populations continue to go the way they have been, Texas is going to gain seats, Florida is going to gain seats, California is going to lose seats.
Oh, okay.
The redistricting thing, right? Like Trump said, like, go get me 5 more seats. The way he said, you know, find 10,000 votes or whatever, 11,700 votes. Man, like, let me ask you. You sound like you're a reasonable guy, and you're somewhat informed. Am I crazy? Like I'm seeing all these people that are cheering on what looks to be a fascist takeover of this country. They elected a pedophile con man and like they act like I'm the crazy one and I'm the extreme one. So like, am I crazy on this?
No, absolutely not.
I didn't think so, but that's also what a crazy person would say.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll let you go, and hopefully some Trump MAGA guy will call in, and I'd love to hear you guys.
Yeah, we get callers every now and then. Like, I'm not big enough to where I get callers, regularly. So we do the news. We find out what that news be doing. I think I do the best goddamn news rundown on the internet.
All right, very good, Brian. All right, I'll keep.
Hold on, before you go, hit me with like your hottest take on music.
On music, what do you mean, like current music or music in general?
Anything. What's your hottest take you got?
Oh, I don't know. I can't believe the Grateful Dead are celebrating their 60th anniversary. It seemed like yesterday.
Well, yeah, but they're not like, because the keyboardist now is on his deathbed, and he's like the last one, isn't he?
Yeah. My friend's band's doing they're doing a benefit for him. The poor guy,
Oh shit,
he's pushing 80 and doesn't have any no health insurance. He's all messed up. That's really sad.
That is sad. Can you shout out your friend's band?
Terrapin Flyer.
What kind of music they play?
They're a Grateful Dead cover band.
Oh hell yeah, Terrapin Flyer.
Based out of Chicago, yeah.
Based out of Chicago. Hell yeah. If you guys get the chance out there in my chat to check them out, do check them out.
Yeah.
My friend, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Peace out.
Thank you for calling in. Check out the show.
You got it. Thank you.
Chicago mentioned. Kaya, welcome in. Good to see you, my friend. That was a good call. Light one up, tip one back. Who in the chat would like to see Trump added to Mount Rushmore?
Rushmore, an American icon.
Did it just blow your mind? It was a little overwhelming when you first see it.
Untouched for more than 80 years, there is now an effort by some supporters of Donald Trump to add his face to the monument.
I think history is going to show that he's in the same pantry.
Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna has a bill in Congress that would add Trump to Mount Rushmore.
Complete and total nut job, Anna Paulina Luna. But you can't say she doesn't look good in a bikini. She can be my GOP mommy. I'm sorry.
Interior Secretary Doug Burgum left open the possibility.
Will we ever see President Trump's face on Mount Rushmore? What do you think?
Well, they certainly have room for it.
But the practical reality is much different. Dan Wenk is the former superintendent at Mount Rushmore.
You can't change somebody's work of art.
Over the years, people have proposed adding faces to the sculpture, from Susan B. Anthony to Ronald Reagan. Wenk says the answer is always the same.
I think we should take him down.
Because it can't be done.
But aside from the historic, political, and artistic reasons against changing Mount Rushmore, there's one big barrier, and it's non-negotiable.
I wouldn't want to be messing with Mount Rushmore.
From an engineering and geological perspective, adding any face is near impossible. A close look shows the mountain filled with deep fractures, like this massive fracture that runs right by Washington's head. Paul Nelson, an engineer who worked on the mountain, warns any new carving could cause serious damage.
But it's not something that can be messed with. Is that fair to say?
No. Yeah, I wouldn't want to.
Those faces should be taken down.
Blasting or carving rock.
While the mountain looks deep and wide from the front, a side view reveals a massive valley behind the sculpture, leaving very little room to carve. For perspective, Roosevelt's head is 100 feet behind the original granite.
You have to remove so much rock that once you remove the rock to get something competent.
I don't know. They are talking me into they should try to put his face up there because it sounds like they're all going to come crumbling down if they do. So
there's just not any rock left.
For Dan Wenk, the conversation is fine.
Dan Wenk!
As long as that's where it ends.
I love controversy.
He's like, bring it on. Yeah.
Bring it on. It doesn't matter how worthy someone is. If the rock is not there, you can't carve them.
Putting an end to this age-old debate, at least for now. Ryan Nobles, NBC News, Mount Rushmore, South Dakota.
Shut up, Tom Llama.
Thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.
Hold on, I gotta
like
switch that. I gotta adjust the. It was made for Lester, not for Llama. I'll get it over his face. Perfect. There we go. All right, shut up, Tom Llama. Yeah, they talked me into it. Let's get on the put Trump on Mount Rushmore bandwagon. I love it. You say you can't carve Trump's face in there, that it can't physically be done. Trump says anything can be done. He can do anything he wants because he's the president. That's what he said earlier today. I had to check and make sure this wasn't the same clip from yesterday.
So I would have much more respect for Pritzker if he'd call me up and say, I have a problem. Can you help me fix it? I would be so happy to do it. I don't love, not that I don't have the right to do anything I want to do. I'm the president of the United States. If I think our country's in danger, and it is in danger in these cities, I can do it. No problem going in and solving, his difficulties. But it would be nice if they'd call and they'd say, would you...
What difficulties?
Do it in conjunction. Now, we work very well with the police because we naturally get along with the police. So the police and us work really well together, whether the mayor is opposed or whether... I mean, you have a really rotten mayor there, too. He's got a 6% approval rating in Chicago. And I see black women wearing a red MAGA hat last night on television. Please let the president come in. My son was attacked. You have a force of black women. They're like only Trump. They want Trump to come in.
Like, was he watching Diamond and Silk or some shit? Silk's dead. Or is it Diamond? Which one died? One of them died of COVID. Tones, welcome in. Curiouser. Speaking of cuties, here's Stephen Miller. Oh my God! Oh my... That's just... I didn't do anything. I didn't cue that up. That's just the first fucking frame. That's amazing.
Democrat Party does not fight for, care about, or represent American citizens. It is an entity devoted exclusively to the defense of hardened criminals, gangbangers, and illegal alien killers and terrorists.
Fuck.
The Democrat Party is not a political party. It is a domestic extremist organization. Look at Chicago. They've shut down the police department. They've handcuffed law enforcement. And as President Trump
he most certainly did not shut down the police department.
Chicago into a bloody killing field. Here in Washington, D.C., before President Trump launched the federal law enforcement liberation in D.C., there was a murder on the streets of this town every other day. Body after body after body after body. That was Washington, D.C. Residents were afraid to go to restaurants. They were afraid to go into entire neighborhoods. They were getting carjacked right and left, robbed and beaten. That was Washington, D.C. Now we're 2 weeks homicide free. The safest this city has ever been.
Did he say homicide?
History. And the Democrats, instead of jumping up and down and saying, thank you, President Trump, thank you for saving our lives, thank you for saving our cities, thank you for scrubbing away all the graffiti, the trash, the homeless encampments, the druggies. Instead of cleaning up the city, instead of thanking him for that, they're saying, President Trump, how dare you save our lives? How dare you save our children? How dare you save our city? The Democrat Party, Sean, that exists today, it disgusts me. I do not recognize that party, Sean.
He literally means cleaning up trash. You guys know that, right? They've got the National Guard out here picking up trash in D.C. Stephen Miller should have been bullied more. The Democrats are the extremists. The Democratic Party is the extremist party out here, not the Republicans. You know I'm getting ready to play you some crazy stuff. He just said the Democrats are the extremists. Not the Republicans.
Your daughters will be raped and your sons beheaded unless we stop Islam once and for all. We're done turning the other cheek. Remember, David didn't pray for Goliath. He killed them. America is a Christian nation, so those terrorist Muslims can fuck off to any of the 57 Muslim nations. There is only one true God, and that is the God of Israel.
Gave my brothers a drink up, did everything but gave up. Stabbed my back, I came front. Still we win, we prayed up. Even when we die, we raise up. Ain't no wanting, no we need it. The powers that...
That was Valentina Gomez. She is running for office in Texas.
Your daughters will be raped and your sons beheaded unless we stop Islam once and for all. We're done turning the other cheek. Remember, David didn't pray for Goliath. He killed them. America is a Christian nation, so those terrorist Muslims can fuck off to any of the 57 Muslim nations. There is only one true God, and that is the God of Israel.
I mean, you guys have a lot of strong words for her, but I think you know where I stand on this. Valentina Gomez, I believe you just entered the running to be my GOP mommy. Oh my God. That's the not extremist right wingers out here. Yesterday, Trump signed an executive order about flag burning. Today, we had our first arrest of someone who was burning a flag. He is an Army vet.
And you are taking a live look here that is over in Washington, D.C. Now, we are learning a little bit more about the crime crackdown there in D.C., as it does appear that the first homicide has been reported in several days. We also want to talk just a little bit more about a man who torched an American flag in protest being arrested. So much to discuss here.
He said homicide earlier.
DC, Stephanie Ramirez joining us live outside the White House. And Stephanie, obviously a very busy morning here.
A busy morning indeed, and actually just within seconds we did have some National Guard members arrive on scene, so you might see them behind me here. It looks like they're picking up trash right now at Lafayette Park, just outside of the White House. All right, now in terms of the federal takeover, we know the Trump administration has been touting the takeover or federal surge as the reason why D.C. crime has not only dropped in the district, but the reason why we've seen nearly 2 straight weeks of no homicides. But that did change. We learned within the past hour that D.C. police did have a fatal shooting in the southeast neighborhood of the district, where a man was shot just before 12:30 in the morning and ended up dying of his injuries. Southeast, unfortunately, an area that is often plagued by crime. Now, moving on, and the president leaning into his focus on D.C. crime, the federal surge, and the focus on the administration of law and order, he did announce a number of new executive orders, and we saw an arrest connected to this. You were just talking about it. A man arrested outside of the White House yesterday evening at around 6:30. He burned an American flag, and we don't know his name. What's going on, though, is that the president
That's a fucking patriot's what it is. God damn it.
Prohibiting the burning of American flags. And so we believe that this action was done in protest of that. We don't know the man's name. We don't know if his arrest is in connection with the executive order. Right now, Park Police are telling us that the charge or the violation that he was found to have committed here is called prohibited fire. We also don't know the man's name. What we are told is that he is an Army combat veteran, and he did this action, burning the American flag, in protest just hours after these executive orders. So again, the president, leaning into what he's been focused on already here, issued these number of executive orders. One of them seeks to have anyone who burns or desecrates an American flag be prosecuted and spend a year in jail. And then there are other issues focused on, like, for example, requiring the Secretary of Defense to begin training and creating a specialized unit within the D.C. National Guard that can be deputized to enforce.
We all need to be going out burning some flags.
The country's National Guards trained and ready to respond to civil disturbances. And another big one that targets D.C. specifically.
Somebody kills somebody, they go in, don't worry about it, no cash, come back in a couple of months, we'll give you a trial. You never see the person again.
I'll make it happen. Burning flag emote it
And
is.
guys, as residents in D.C. have been protesting, you see a lot of this on social media, especially folks surrounding the federal task force groups making arrests and also recording to make sure that they are witnesses and make sure that here at Fox 5 in D.C. has asked the D.C. Police Department and their leadership about this. They have not responded. I can tell you I did ask the mayor and the police chief about this last week, and they just affirmed that they will answer any questions and cooperate with an investigation. That's the very latest here from the grounds in D.C.
Now, the right is going nuts because there's apparently a video of Hillary Clinton from when she was a senator talking about how flag burning should most certainly be illegal. Now, they're saying it is, a sign of the left's hypocrisy. I don't think so at all. It's another sign that Hillary Clinton was never on the left.
I hope, Mr. President, that we can pass a law that criminalizes flag burning and desecration. I agree that this burning, this desecration that can happen to our flag is something that people have a right to ask this body to try to prohibit and prevent it.
Two lefties throwing a fit about this. Flashback, then Senator Hillary Clinton. She's not a leftist. That music the New York Post used. What in the fuck was that? Yeah, burn the flag, burn that witch. Love it. Also love when representatives get taken to task by their constituents. We've got a few of those tonight. Are you ready? This, first off, is in Oklahoma. This is Congressman Josh Breachin. Congressman Josh Breachin in Oklahoma.
He's the chief law enforcement officer to execute. So
disagreement among Representative Josh FREAKIN and his constituents.
we have the Constitution today. That's where I'm trying to give the opportunity.
The representative originally came to the meeting to speak on President Trump's big, beautiful bill.
Wait. Did you guys see that Richard Spencer looking guy? That is a Nazi. That's what Nazis look like nowadays. Flash, do you have your calipers? Do you see that forehead? I'm glad you agree with me.
He came to the meeting to speak on President Trump's big, beautiful bill.
We know, those of us specifically on the Budget Committee, because of our involvement in the One Big Beautiful Bill, we knew it was important to get the facts out.
It's been months since FREAKIN hosted a town hall after House Leader Mike Johnson asked his party to avoid them in March. But FREAKIN said he was committed to continuing the events after having over 100 in his first term, then pointing the finger at Democrats as the reason for the halt.
And so we knew that they were going to try to make this set of town halls harder, but we want to make sure the 2nd Congressional District is not harmed by people trying to play partisan politics.
The representative discussed how the big, beautiful bill will impact Oklahomans' tax bracket and even Medicaid.
If you would like to make sure that your district is not harmed by people playing partisan politics, you can resign.
The representative discussed how the big, beautiful bill will impact Oklahomans' tax bracket and even Medicaid. But when it came time for questions, emotions rose when one person asked about President Trump's executive order sending the National Guard to Washington, D.C.
Yeah, you can leave.
After the town hall ended, I stuck around, I listened to his constituents and asked them what they thought could have gone better. And they all had one thing in common: to have more time to ask him questions.
I didn't like that it was stretched out so long and it didn't leave very much time for questions at the end. And unfortunately, we weren't able to ask our pressing questions.
But 2 hours, 3 or 4 hours.
A little bit more time. FREAKIN spoke for an hour before leaving for his next town hall.
I like that old lady.
Only 5 people to ask questions.
I didn't feel like it was truly answering the questions we were wanting to ask. It was kind of talking a little bit around the questions and around our concerns and not really pinpointing the issues.
But FREAKIN says everyone has opinions, and that's why he's holding these meetings.
All I can say is I'm doing everything I can to make sure my conscience is clear, knowing that I'm making the best decision based upon the information.
In Muskogee, I'm Emma Birch, 2 News Oklahoma.
Let's go to Missouri. This is Representative Mark Alford in Missouri. I don't know why it won't let me make it big. Kind of upsetting me.
My name is Fred Higginbotham.
Hi, Fred.
I've lived in Polk County since '98.
Yeah, Flash.
I was a
Apparently,
firefighter in California. I saw what can happen when a state works together with its people. This state does not know how to do that. I inherited a century farm from my father because he was born, raised here. My great-great-grandfather helped open this university. I am pissed, and I'm pissed at you because I have emailed you because it's easier for me than to try to talk on the phone without profanity. I would appreciate you taking your father's U.S. Constitution book, read it, study it, make your own lines underneath it, and get Trump out of office. The man is a dictator. He knows nothing about what he talks about. I listened to him for about a half hour today, and I got sick at all the lies he brought up. Now, I'm about ready to lose my farm. Do you know why? I'm sure you don't know why.
Lose your what, sir?
Farm.
Farm?
Yeah.
Why is that, sir?
Because Missouri does not have wills. They have trust. They have legal zigzags. And a trust most people don't know anything about. So I'm dealing with a state that's a crooked state. Doesn't care about what farmers happen. The only reason why we have farmers today is because the federal government funds them. How much money of our tax money goes to farmers? Farmers work very hard, but they're funded by the federal government, not by selling groceries. That's what Foster Farms and all of those characters, that's where they get their money. The price of steaks, $20 a pound, because of big business. You want to straighten out the budget? Start taxing corporations and the wealthy, like we've been telling you. Do you think we're idiots? Do you think we don't pay taxes? Do you think that we don't have to make budgets? You talk about half-truths when I listen to you. You know nothing about taking care of children because you've always had a really good-paying job. You know nothing about what a working-class citizen does. Come down here. Come down here and start trying to pay your medical insurance. Come down here and walk into Costco to try to feed your family, to feed your kid that's...
He sure is, Toad.
To feed your great-grandchildren. I had a very good job in California, and I'm able to feed my family, and it goes all the way to great-grandchildren. You're not helping me. Believe me, you're not helping me.
Oh, he's mad.
You need to take your head out of Trump's ass and start doing your representation of us.
Thank you. Did you say your name's...
Anonymously, welcome in. Tones, I tell you good evening. Oh, guys, we watched Breachin' from Oklahoma, he's back at it. He held another one just a couple hours ago. He held another town hall. He out here apparently upset about Sharia law.
We've got Sharia law trying to be set up in America today. Absolutely we do. You have Sharia law trying to be established in America today. The Muslim Brotherhood, the Muslim Brotherhood is the ideology, and you've got a Turkey president, guys. We're not going to turn into chaos. We've been really good to each other today. Turkey has a president who has made statements relative to reestablishing the Ottoman Empire. And he wants to be. We've got Sharia law trying to be set.
Trump and Erdogan are friends, aren't they? I thought Trump and Erdogan, I thought like they were like good buddies. Sharia law, that's a blast from the past. That's so back at like Glenn Beck during the Obama years. It seems so quaint now. Can't be everyone anonymously. You're just around Warlord and Flash and Tones and Avalon. I had to go unmod some people and be like, we need to be more careful about banning people from the chat. I saw the effects Erdogan has had on his nation's currency, much like Trump. We're getting into the crime section of the show. This is Fort Pierce, I believe, Indiana. Fort Pierce, Indiana. A Fort Pierce city commissioner, Republican, by the way, Republican, has bonded out.
Information tonight, the arrest of a now former Fort Pierce commissioner, James Taylor, is accused of sending explicit messages and images to a 12-year-old girl. He was arrested in July and released on bond today. For the breakdown of the charges and what happens next, we turn to Cassandra Garcia.
This video shows the moment James Taylor walked out of jail Friday. He refused to answer any of our questions before getting into a vehicle.
He's seen fire and he's seen rain.
You have anything to say to any of the people of the city that you represent?
The young girl that you're accused of messaging.
Have any comment. His bond was set to $360,000 following his arrest in July for child exploitation. However, his attorney tried to reduce it to $110,000, citing that he lives in St. Lucie County with his family and has limited financial resources. They also agreed to the conditions of no victim contact, no social media, and passport surrender. I reached out to his attorney's office for a response and to confirm the terms of his bond, but they told me they are not commenting at this time. The former Fort Pierce commissioner was arrested by the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office on 24 counts of felony crimes. Taylor is accused of having sexually explicit online conversations with a 12-year-old girl from Illinois. The communication allegedly included sending multiple nude images to her. The 38-year-old was elected in 2024. His term was suspended by Governor Ron DeSantis shortly after.
Oh, this is Florida.
His letter of resignation to the city.
Oh, this is definitely Florida.
The city of Fort Pierce will host a special election, which is estimated to cost about $60,000. Cassandra Garcia, WPTV News.
I'm sorry, I said Indiana. I believe there's a Fort Pierce, Indiana. A sex offender who got caught in a sting was never charged, has been caught again.
Forward for me. Sure, no, stay down.
Hello. A convicted sex offender busted by a West Michigan YouTuber who sets up online stings.
But this alleged predator could have already been locked up nearly 2 years ago.
Target 8 investigator Susan Samples discovered in these cases, even registered sex offenders may go free and continue to prey on children.
Oh yeah, the thing about the YouTube channel, completely against it. And the reason why is the same reason why organizations that fight trafficking and sexual abuse. Like they went after the Sound of Freedom guys because that dude was going in and offering money and creating victims and a market where there wouldn't have been victims and a market. And that's what these people do when they're putting it up on YouTube for views and shit. This dude may have never acted out on any kind of... Clearly he was a repeat offender, but theoretically somebody may have never acted out on an impulse had they not been, like, harassed by an undercover cop or this YouTuber who's trying to get views for his channel.
Last question. How you doing? All right. Want to sit with me? Sure.
First, to get you up to speed, that's Joshua Gerald Young on the left, a 36-year-old registered sex offender from Grand Rapids.
How are you? How are you?
Who would later admit he had traveled to this Wayland area home a couple weeks ago to meet up with what he thought was a 15-year-old boy.
I don't know if I want to kiss just yet.
But the guy in the hat was actually 21, a decoy.
Wait a second.
I didn't realize this was on a setup.
Do you know what?
Yeah, the YouTuber's way too into it.
Kinsley, a YouTuber from Grand Rapids with more than 1 million followers. He and his crew, complete with armed security, videographers, decoys, bait houses, conduct online stings, earning income from ad revenue on YouTube.
Yeah, earning income.
The monthly fees subscribers pay to access videos.
I mean, what do you have to say for yourself?
That I up again?
No plausible deniability from Joshua Young.
So you knew he was 15?
Yeah.
Not what you might expect from a sex offender.
And had I not been here tonight, you would have showered and cuddled and got naked with this 15-year-old boy. Is that correct?
Correct.
So I want to thank you for admitting that.
Young also admitted he sent explicit pictures before the meetup.
Oh, I just don't want to go to jail.
You're going to.
You know, I'm not interested in that. Did you go to jail last time?
No.
Hi.
Hello.
That's the same Joshua Young in 2023, meeting up with what he thought was a 14-year-old girl in a Grand Rapids motel room.
Are you gonna get naked? You want to get naked?
Yeah, Flash. Honestly, he does seem like he's got some sort of learning disability. And that's... What if this dude's emotionally stunted? Oh my God.
Enter Kai Kinsley and crew.
This is all disgusting.
Kinsley asked Young what if he had not shown up to break up the party.
Believe you would have laid down, cuddled, gotten a little bit further than that. Probably kiss, get into it heavy. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean. I'm just trying to understand.
No, just like having sex.
Okay, so you came here to have sex with a girl you believe you're 14.
So what it is, this YouTube channel is preying on somebody who's probably slow.
Joshua Gerald Young had been there before. He was 25 years old in 2014 when he pleaded guilty to criminal sexual conduct for touching an 8-year-old girl, an offense that landed him on the sex offender registry. Even more reason, Kinsley thought, that when he called the Kent County Sheriff's Office from the motel back in 2023, deputies would show up and arrest Joshua Young. But that's not what happened.
What's your name, sir?
Josh.
Josh?
Yes.
Oh, you want to come outside and talk to me real quick?
Those Kent County officers did talk to Joshua Young in 2023, but he was never arrested. That would take 2 more years, another sting, and a different county, Barry. Kent County declined an on-camera interview for this story, but said it did have investigators and supervisors review that case in 2023, but they closed it down because Kent County prosecutor Chris Becker will not charge in citizen sting cases, a longstanding policy. He's busted in Kent County by a citizen, not arrested, free to continue soliciting minors online.
It's hard for me to talk to because that case never made it to us. You know, it's troubling. Yeah, we don't want that to happen.
Got your keys?
The controversy over citizen stings is not new. This confrontation outside a West Michigan Target posted on the YouTube site Anxiety War prompted this declaration from Becker in 2019.
We're done. We're not doing this sort of prosecution. It's dangerous for him. It's dangerous for the public.
I know you have a gun. Don't do anything stupid. I'm armed too.
Michigan's Attorney General sent a strong message too, saying vigilantes will not be tolerated and they run the risk of tainting evidence for court. court.
So no cookies for you?
But 2 decades after To Catch a Predator debuted, so-called vigilante stings persist.
And Chris Hansen turned out to be a weirdo.
General policy against charging in citizen stings noted he has made exceptions in egregious cases, filing charges last year against a Grand Rapids man who was snagged in a sting set up by Bikers Against Predators. That offender showed up to a park to meet what he thought was an 11-year-old girl. Wyoming police sent that case to Becker, and he charged it.
I've never said, hey, don't send him down here.
But Becker had never heard of the Joshua Young sting.
Yeah, I've never seen this.
He sent them some penis pictures too.
Young admitted to Kinsley that he had continued talking to kids online in the last 2 years, trying to set up meetings, sending explicit pictures. That's what prompted Kinsley's team to call Target 8.
To me, it's ridiculous that a registered sex offender can be caught by a citizen and the registered sex offender can say, yes, I was here to have sex with another 14-year-old girl as a registered sex offender, and it doesn't even make it to the prosecutor's desk.
Josh, go ahead and lean forward for me.
Kinsley, who's been busting predators since 2021, said it took a while to figure out which counties will file charges.
For example, Berry County, I've gotten 5 arrests there of the 5 pedophiles I caught there.
Berry County's prosecutor told Target 8 she could not comment on those cases, which are still open, but she made clear police should conduct online stings, not citizens. Kinsley acknowledges some online watchdogs do it solely to raise their own profile, but says that's not him, explaining he was 14 years old when he discovered child porn on an older relative's phone and turned him in, which prompted criminal charges. You're not just doing this for money. You're not doing this for...
Oh, no, of course not. I do it because I have a genuine passion for
bullshit.
The Kent County Sheriff's Office has a unit that does online stings itself. Told me going forward, it will send all cases similar to Joshua Young's to the prosecutor for review and potential charges. Young, meanwhile, remains in the Berry County Jail for now. His defense attorney tells me he has met with his client, and at this early point, he has no concerns about his client's mental competency. I'm Target 8 investigator Susan Samples.
I guess his lawyer said he ain't slow. We got some really gruesome stories. The next few are pretty bad. So if you have a weak constitution, you may want to come back about 15-20 minutes. And then we'll be into more lighthearted crazy shit. Murder charges have been filed against the parents of a missing 7-month-old. They headed to court earlier today.
Now at noon, breaking news. Murder charges have been filed against the parents of 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro.
Thanks for joining us for the KTLA 5 News at noon. I'm Lou Parker.
And I'm Lauren Lister in for Glenn Walker. It has been nearly 2 weeks since baby Emmanuel was reported missing after what officials call a bogus kidnapping in the Inland Empire.
And today, his parents are expected to appear in court to face murder charges. KTLA 5's Jean Kang live at the courthouse in Riverside with an update. Jean.
Hi, good afternoon, Lauren and Lou, to both of you. Well, I've been in close contact with the DA's office, and they just filed those charges formally against Emmanuel Haro, that baby's parents. Well, both of them are now in jail. They're being held on $1 million bail each, so $2 million total. We know that arraignment is going forward at 1:30 this afternoon. That's going to be here at the Riverside Hall of
we don't have an update yet. Hold on.
Though, if you haven't seen this, both of them were arrested on Friday, as you see in this video. The parents of Emmanuel Haro, that 7-month-old baby, they were arrested at their Cabazon home. Court documents filed today reveal prosecutors believe the baby was murdered between August 5th and the 14th. That's new information. Up to 9 days before Rebecca claimed her baby was kidnapped from a Big 5 store parking lot in Yucaipa. The couple is also charged with filing a false police report on August 14th. That's the same day they reported the alleged kidnapping of their baby. The mother made an emotional public plea at the time for his return.
So apparently one of them is blaming the other one. They've turned on each other. So we've got some drama going on here in the courtroom.
The parents of a missing baby will now be facing murder charges. It comes as the search continues for baby Emmanuel Haro.
Deputies arrested the parents after they say inconsistencies emerged over the baby's disappearance. Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan is live outside the courthouse in Riverside where the parents appeared in court. Rob?
Well, this hearing was very short. It only lasted a couple of minutes. The arraignment postponed until next week because we're told neither parent has an attorney at this point. Both parents seated at opposite ends of the courtroom, both of them shackled and handcuffed. 12 days after reporting their baby boy Emmanuel missing, saying he'd been kidnapped, Jake and Rebecca Haro now facing a Superior Court judge, charged with the murder of their little boy. Also charged with filing a false police report to try to cover up the crime. Outside court today, people who followed this case since the very beginning here to show support for the 7-month-old child who's now presumed dead.
Poor baby. I have kids of my own. Shame on them. I just feel bad for him every time I think about it.
This really hit home to me because I'm also a mother of 4. So to see that somebody could have felt unloving to a child like that, to me is very utterly disgusting.
It all started the night of Thursday, August 14th, when Rebecca Haro claimed that she'd been attacked in this Big 5 parking lot in Yucaipa. When she came to, she claimed her little boy had been kidnapped. The very next morning, Rebecca appearing to make a tearful plea for help.
Please, I'm begging you, please, God, please.
Less than an hour after our interview at the family home, many of them then showing up at the Big 5 parking lot saying they were back there trying to organize a search effort. But it wasn't long before people started to wonder whether this couple was telling the truth. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department saying Jake and Rebecca Haro were no longer cooperating with detectives. Others noting that in our first interview with the family, Jake Haro was already talking about his son in the past tense.
He was a healthy baby. He was crawling, he was kicking, he was playing with his toys.
A week later, both Jake and Rebecca Haro were arrested at their Cabazon home on suspicion of murder. As a memorial for the missing boy continues to grow outside the property, there's still no sign of him. Detectives organizing a search effort off the 60 freeway east of Moreno Valley 2 days ago. Jake Haro spotted at the scene, but the Sheriff's Department saying he offered little assistance. And they ended their search with little Emmanuel still missing. Both parents remain behind bars, bail set at $1 million. That arraignment now scheduled for September 4th. Live in Riverside, Rob McMillan, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
The mom gave an interview last night to News Nation. You want to hear what she had to say? Of course you do. She looks like somebody tried to visually impair her.
Called Jake a good dad and said he would never hurt a baby. There's her new mugshot, by the way. A lot of people zeroing in on both of those black eyes. And also, how strange that she's still talking from jail. She talked to the media before. Everyone was suspicious of her. Now she's talking to reporters from the jail, trying to stand up for her husband. As we've reported, he was convicted in 2023 of an act of willful child cruelty 5 years earlier. It's an awful case. The victim was even younger than Emmanuel, just 10 weeks old, who suffered permanent brain damage. Jake and Rebecca also have a 2-year-old daughter who is now in the care of Child Protective Services. Every single day, it seems like this case just gets more and more disturbing. My News Nation colleague, Nancy Liu, joins me live from outside that couple's home, just outside Palm Springs. Nancy, they brought the dad out to search this weekend in the jail jumpsuit, and still nothing. No sign of baby Emmanuel.
Yeah, remarkable developments in this case, Brian, but the bottom line is
Where is baby Emmanuel? We are outside the Harrow family home. This is in Cabazon, which is about 15 miles west of Palm Springs. We can tell you this house is deserted. Obviously, mom and dad, they are now in jail. The 2-year-old child is now in custody of Child Protective Services. And we understand that Jake's elderly mother is now staying somewhere else. I've been poking around this neighborhood, talking with people who live around here. They don't know this family. And the one woman said, you know, she's only seen the mom one time in 4 years. But on this side, Brian, I want to show you the memorial that is just growing and growing. It's about 20 yards wide. You and I, we've covered a lot of tragedy, and this memorial, it is significant. So many signs, you know, asking for justice for baby Emmanuel. Where is baby Emmanuel? This is obviously a case which has touched so many throughout the region. So many people had believed that initial story.
Baby Emmanuel is dead.
Being kidnapped. Just a horrible story. The mom with the black eye claiming that, you know, she was changing the baby's diaper. And when she came to, the baby was gone. And of course, now the sheriff's department saying this is a case of murder. However, there is no body despite an extensive search for remains, Brian.
And there were also no tears, Nancy. You remember when she would go out, the mom, and give those press conferences, and she would be crying. But I always look closely in those situations. I always look.
He's a body language expert.
Screen, and there were no tears, which had a lot of people feeling very suspicious from the beginning. And it is so sad. What were you going to say, though, Nancy?
Yeah, I was going to point out that there is an interview with the father with a media station in which he talked about baby Emmanuel in the past tense. So there are people who are also making note of
I guess that was her jailhouse interview, not them having an interview with him.
Child abuse, and the other child is now.
Oh, they actually talked to the mom.
The whole thing is awful. And I was just thinking, I mean, all those signs behind you, the little stuff.
News Nation led me wrong. We're keeping in California. A family is suing the California Highway Patrol for causing a crash that killed their family.
People were killed in a fiery crash on the 605 freeway in Norwalk last month. Now, 2 families are filing a claim saying the CHP should have done more to prevent the crash. KTLA's Kimberly Chang live in Santa Fe Springs with more from family members. Kimberly.
You may remember 4 people were killed in this fiery crash last month. Today, the families of 2 of the victims spoke out. It was a very emotional news conference that took place in front of the CHP office here in Santa Fe Springs. Take a look. This wrapped up just in the last hour or so. One of the family members, Angie Reed, Armand Del Campo's mother, spoke through tears. She said her son and his fiancee, 23-year-old Julie Hamori, were excited about getting engaged and starting their life together. Julie's aunt also spoke. She said that she wants answers regarding this investigation. Take a listen to what they had to say.
It has been 5 weeks of no answers. It's been 5 weeks of silence of the circumstances that led to the death of my son. Armand was at the pinnacle of his life. He was starting a brand new job and had just finished his first week and was really excited because it was going to give them the opportunity to start their lives. They talked about getting engaged and getting a place together, and were really excited about their future, and they had beautiful, bright futures.
And then when I get this preliminary report and I take a look and it says the CHP put that the CHP rear-ended Julie's car and disabled it. And then in collision 2, she gets hit from behind. Why wasn't there a CHP car between Julie's car that he rear-ended and this alleged drunk driver that hit her? They knocked out my niece's car and left and got themselves out of the way?
Now, Julie, Armand, and 2 other friends were driving home from a concert back on July 20th when they were killed in a fiery crash on the 605 freeway in Norwalk. There were 2 collisions that night. The first involved a CHP cruiser, which disabled the victim's vehicle on the freeway. The families and their attorneys say that more than 7 minutes later, another car slammed into the victim's car, triggering that fire, and all 4 occupants were killed. CHP said the driver of the car that hit them was arrested on suspicion of DUI. Now, the families announced that they are taking legal action against the California Highway Patrol and the state of California. They have filed a government claim which alleges that a CHP officer was negligent and it caused the death of their loved ones. Attorneys say that the CHP officer failed to secure the roadway after that first crash, claiming that the officer moved his patrol car to safety but failed to deploy flares or warning lights, leaving the victim's vehicle sitting in the lane. The families want answers and access to key evidence, including the vehicles, data recorders, and video footage. They say there's a block due to an ongoing CHP investigative hold. Now, the government claim is the first step in civil litigation. CHP in the state of California will have 45 days to respond. They can either come up with a settlement or reject the claim, in which case a lawsuit could be filed. Here's a listen to what the attorney had to say earlier.
The CHP was driving in such a way that they caused a serious collision when they slammed into the back of Julie and Maury's car. So significantly that that car was disabled in the fast lane on the 605. We also know that at least 7 minutes passed from the time of the first crash with the CHP slamming into the back of...
A flare probably wouldn't have helped in this situation because the dude was DUI, but like if the cop hadn't moved his car, they would have slammed into the cop as opposed to the family.
Julie's car until the deadly crash. These people had promising lives in this community and it should have never happened. They should have been protected and they shouldn't have been stranded on the 605 freeway in the middle of the night like sitting ducks.
Now, CHP did release a brief statement earlier today saying that this is a heartbreaking tragedy and their thoughts are with the families. They say both crashes remain under investigation and decline to comment further. Reporting live in Santa Fe Springs, Kimberly Chang, KTLA 5 News.
Clinically, Matt, good evening. This next one's a crazy one. I haven't had a chance to talk about this one yet. And it's a lot like a story we did a few months back. We're going to Pueblo, Colorado, where an investigation has been launched into the Pueblo County Coroner's Office after several decomposing bodies were found at a mortuary.
Welcome back. CBI is working to identify more than 20 people whose bodies were improperly stored in a mortuary in Pueblo. It's privately owned by County Coroner Brian Cotter. State inspectors discovered the bodies in a secret room at Davis Mortuary on Wednesday. CBI still doesn't know how many bodies, only that there were more than 20. It says all of them were respectfully removed over the weekend. The agency is now working to identify them using dental records, fingerprints, and DNA samples. It set up a victim assistance line for people who believe their loved ones could be involved. Joining us this morning to discuss this investigation is our 9 News legal expert, Whitney Traylor. Thanks for calling into us this morning.
I know, it's reminding me of the pandemic, but it's good to be here via Zoom.
Yes, I'm glad we could get you on Zoom. So first, tell us a little bit about this investigation. Is it a criminal investigation?
Well,
I'm pretty sure it was the coroner owning a funeral home or a mortuary in the last story we did, in which they found bodies that were just strewn about. I think it's pretty common in most small towns, possibly.
Interestingly, it started off as really a civil investigation, as they went in and did just kind of a standard investigation into this mortuary. But now, once they found these various bodies in various stages, it has now become a criminal investigation, and it's being conducted by the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, Pueblo County Sheriff, and the Pueblo Police Department. So Yeah, it's a criminal investigation right now, although there have been no arrests or charges as of this point.
Well, that's a really interesting conversation, too. So is this matter complicated because it involves the coroner?
Yes, it is. It is complicated because this is a duly elected coroner in Pueblo County. And so this particular facility he owned with his brother. So it does make it difficult because this is something normally the coroner would actually get involved in. And so they've brought in, I think, coroners from Fremont County and one other county to help sort of sort it all out.
This is interesting because, as you mentioned, this coroner is elected. The governor has called for his immediate resignation. Can he even be removed?
I don't think so. I think the only way he's going to be able to be removed is a recall by the voters. So I know there is going to be some pressure probably from the county commissioners and others. The governor, as you just mentioned, put some pressure on him to resign. I suspect he probably would, but really technically it's by law only a recall of the voters. And so right now it is the Fremont and El Paso County coroners who've stepped in to assist Pueblo County with the investigation. So it'll be, and it was interesting because he had his official duties as the coroner, but then he had this funeral home on the side that he was running with his brother.
I feel like we've heard so many of these stories in recent years. It is really.
We have.
So Colorado was one of the last states to regulate the funeral industry, but this investigation was actually a result of new laws that were passed last year. So tell us about those.
Yes, Corey, this was really quite bizarre what's been happening over the past few years. And Colorado actually did have regulation up until 1983, and then they pushed to deregulate. And then Colorado was the only state that didn't regulate this industry. And a lot of people may say, well, the government's in our business and that kind of thing. But we've seen, as you mentioned, the last 3, 4, 5 years, just absolute extreme and egregious scenarios that involved these funeral directors. And so there were a number of laws that were passed, I think starting in 2022, but there were 3 that went into effect last year. And really it's about regulating these funeral directors. And for folks who may think, well, there's not much to it, there is so much science to it. There's an academic side, you know, knowing how to embalm and how to deal with these bodies, these corpses. And then of course the emotional side for consoling loved ones and things like that. So some of the new laws require funeral directors, morticians, embalmers to have a professional mortuary science degree. They have to pass a national board exam, complete a 1-year apprenticeship, pass a criminal background check, and then the state also assigned 2 full-time employees to do these inspections. So and of course, if you have a number of years, some of those requirements you don't have to completely comply with if you've been in the industry for years and years. But I think this was way overdue. And we just heard, I mean, we reported on story after story of just these really horrific situations that led the legislature to promptly pass these laws.
Yeah, so many people think these regulations, like you said, were long overdue, and these stories are really heartbreaking for the families that are involved as well. So we will see what happens here. We'll see what happens with the coroner. Whitney, as always, thanks so much for joining us.
Sure, good to be here. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you, Whitney. Always appreciate his insights. We've seen him several times. He's their legal analyst. I love that Colorado station. Remember that story we did back in the spring? I think it was the spring, where the dad faked his own death and he was going to run away. Woman in Kazakhstan or something like that, or a Russian woman. Something to that effect. He's really sorry he faked his death.
Okay, we're back with breaking news right now. A Wisconsin man who made the national headlines after prosecutors say he faked his own death to leave his family and be with a woman overseas that he met online. He's now been sentenced to 89 days in a county jail. The judge coming to that decision by saying Ryan Borkwart should be in jail for the length of time on his deception. To be clear, Borkwart was charged with
Brian Borkwart. Did we know his name? I feel like I would have made a big deal about Borkwart back when this happened. Really borked it.
Online, he's now been sentenced to 89 days in a county jail. The judge coming to that decision by saying Ryan Borkwart should be in jail for the length of time on his deception. To be clear, Borkwart was charged with a misdemeanor count of obstructing an officer, not for faking his own death. You'll recall police spent almost 2 months searching through a Wisconsin lake upon which Borkwart had been kayaking just before he disappeared last August.
Borkwart.
It wasn't until months later that investigators found he had been actually moving money.
Oh, it was Uzbekistan. Oh, it happened last year, but I guess we just discovered that it was fake.
To foreign banks
this year.
He had taken out a $375,000 life insurance policy and was communicating with a woman from Uzbekistan before vanishing. NBC's Kathy Park following this story.
Uzbekistan. As, what was that dude's name? He died of COVID. He owned that pizza place. He was once in politics.
Story for us. And Kathy, what happened in court today?
Yeah, so Tom, the sentencing happened about an hour ago. It was quick. It was about 20 minutes, and Ryan Borkwart appeared with his attorney. He was rather stoic, and we actually heard from him. Here's what he had to say just moments ago in the courtroom. Take a listen.
Herman Cain, that was it. Finally came to me.
The actions that I did that night, all the pain that I caused my family and friends.
So the judge made it pretty clear that he wasn't being sentenced for faking his death, but for the crime of obstructing an officer. In his words, the judge said this isn't a serious crime, but it was a drain on police resources. Now, he doesn't have a criminal history, and so the judge also said he accepted responsibility. We heard him say that in the courtroom today. So he sentenced Borkwart to 89 days in the county jail, and he will be required to pay restitution of $30,000, Tom. And originally, you mentioned this, his attorney and the prosecutor agreed on 45 days, but the judge actually tacked on additional time, 89 days total, because that's the timeline it took law enforcement to contact him.
Interesting that he wasn't charged with attempted insurance fraud or something. This is kind of a crazy story, right? This guy made this whole concocted story up to leave the country. I think, didn't he go through Canada and then went to Europe? But give us remind us of how this all went down.
Yeah, so there is a lot to unpack here, Tom. You're right. He staged his own disappearance. It all kind of started to unfold August of last year, and searchers kind of knew something had gone wrong at the lake when they found a capsized kayak. And we should have a timeline of some of the key moments as investigators were trying to find him. So according to police, he left his life jacket and fishing equipment behind so that he would appear like he had drowned. So they couldn't find his body after searching the area for quite some time. But instead, they discovered an inflatable boat that he used to stash an electric bike. He rode that bike to Madison, Wisconsin, hopped onto a bus that eventually took him to Detroit. He eventually crossed into Canada and then managed to take a flight to Paris, and then he flew to another country in Eastern Europe. And we heard from the prosecutor today that it likely he ended up in Georgia. But then it was in November of last year when really things started to unravel. Eventually, investigators found clues on the laptop that he left behind at home. And eventually, the county sheriff's department made contact with him and then managed to bring him back. And Borkwart eventually did turn himself in.
I wonder why he came back.
And remember, stay updated.
Shut up, Tom Llama.
Top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.
I should change it to say shut up, not Lester. Let's do a little celebrity news here. Dude is apparently a streamer. He is the son of UFC fighter, former UFC fighter, Rampage Jackson. This apparently happened. It's the talk of the wrestling world right now, and I guess the UFC world too. What happened was apparently this guy pulled up at a wrestling show, an independent wrestling show. Psycho Stu, I think, was the name of the wrestler, who was apparently a real big dickhead, but did not deserve what happened to him. Psycho Stu goes up to Raja Jackson and has a gimmicked can. Gimmicked. It was baked or whatever the fuck they do to it to make it easier to fold up on itself. Takes the can, puts it up against his head like that's like the greeting. And Raja Jackson apparently felt disrespected. And then the viral video that everyone has probably already seen happened.
Developing tonight, an attack inside an LA wrestling ring. The son of former UFC champion Quentin Rampage Jackson is accused of brutally beating a wrestler. KCAL's Gio Insignaris walks us through what happened as police investigate.
And I thought Jackson had been arrested. Apparently he has not. He has not been arrested as of yet. I don't know how.
The victim, Stuart Smith, is still recovering in the hospital, according to his brother, who posted on social media that he is stable but receiving critical care. Meantime, LAPD is involved in this case, and the venue where this all happened said this is reprehensible and never should have occurred.
What was supposed to be a wrestling match Saturday night in Sun Valley at the Knox Pro Wrestling Academy instead turned out to be anything but scripted.
When I first saw what happened, I was completely shocked and stunned and felt terrible for the guy.
In the ring, Raja Jackson body slams wrestler Stuart Smith, known as Psycho Stu. The 25-year-old then throws multiple punches to Smith's head, even as the wrestler appears unconscious on the mat. Other wrestlers rush in to drag Jackson away. Police say they were called to the location around 9 p.m., but when officers got there...
And it's premeditated, so I don't know how, that's not an attempted murder charge. Because he was in the back, people were telling him to go get his receipt, which in wrestling parlance means, if somebody accidentally potatoed you, they hit you for real by accident, you hit them back, commensurate later.
Suspect was gone. A felony battery report was taken, and detectives are now investigating.
He's not a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
I think whoever allowed him to come in shouldn't have.
Keita Rush is a pro wrestler with...
He's apparently a streamer.
Wrestling. She says this situation was far from normal. The incident also drawing a reaction from Jackson's father, the former UFC light heavyweight champion Quentin Rampage Jackson. In a post on X Saturday night, he said the assault was part of a previously planned performance that went wrong, and that Raja was told he could get payback after Smith hit him with a drink can earlier in the day. In another video, you can see Smith, who appears to hit Jackson on the head with a drink can. The two then stare each other down. Quote, "I thought it was part of the show," Jackson wrote, adding it was bad judgment and that he doesn't condone his son's actions.
Every slam is real. Every impact is real. We are just prepared. And Stu was not prepared for what was about to happen because it wasn't part of the work.
On social media, Smith's brother wrote that Smith, quote, "is conscious and does have some recollection of events from the day of the attack." Smith previously said his brother was stable at the hospital but in critical care.
Last I'd heard he was in critical care.
He condemned Jackson's actions, calling them heinous, and shared thoughts and prayers for Smith's recovery. Quote, "What was supposed to be a planned and agreed upon wrestling spot turned into a selfish, irresponsible act of violence against Mr. Smith. This egregious act is reprehensible and never should have occurred."
We got to know when we, as pro wrestlers, who's in on it, who's not. You can't just go up to people and expect them to react the way my fellow wrestler peer would.
No arrests have been made in this case so far. Meantime, a fundraising page has been set up to help with Smith's recovery. I'm Gio Insignares, KCAL News.
Insanity. I'm sorry I didn't talk about that one earlier. Everybody's been asking my opinion on it because I am a wrestling fan. Oh no, she was taking up for Stu, I'm sure. I didn't hear what you guys must be reacting to, but she was totally saying Stu wasn't prepared for it because that wasn't supposed to happen. That wasn't part of the work. She wasn't making excuses. I'm pretty sure a wrestler is going to take up for another wrestler.
Life is too short to walk this earth or across the asshole. Wash your ass.
But I didn't hear what I think you guys might have been reacting to either because I was queuing up the next story. So my apologies. Cardi B in court, accused of assaulting one of her bodyguards, I think.
Cardi B seen entering a Los Angeles courthouse this morning where she's facing charges in a civil trial, accused of assaulting a security guard at a Beverly Hills medical building in 2018. The rapper, whose real name is Belcalis Almanzar, maintains the guard was the aggressor.
I was gonna try to say it, because God, I cannot. No wonder they call her Cardi B. It's kind of hard to say her name. I've seen that there's a meme that's like, it sounds like you're like summoning spirits or something. Belcalis Merlinus Selphus. Belcalis Marlinus Almanzar.
To record a video of her on her phone.
Was she recording you without your knowledge?
Yes, and nobody said she could.
Cardi B is expected to take the stand today to testify. During day one of the trial, Imani Ellis testified that in 2018 she recalls exclaiming, "That's Cardi B," when she saw the singer, and claims Cardi B then confronted her and got violent, at one point cutting her face with her long fingernails, calling the incident traumatizing.
She touched my nose, but she scratched my cheek.
The rapper contends it was Ellis who was the aggressor, alleging Ellis was trying to record her as she was entering her doctor's office while visibly pregnant, a pregnancy that at the time was not known to the public. This was Cardi B's first child, and she says she was seeking privacy at the clinic.
And this would also be as Cardi is just becoming famous, if you guys remember. When did Kodak Yellow come out, like 2017?
But according to Cardi B's defense, there was no physical
Kodak Yellow. Was that the name of the song? Kodak something.
60 to 90 second verbal altercation with no physical violence.
During cross-examination, the defense poking holes at Ellis' testimony, pointing out what it says are inconsistencies in Ellis's account.
Kodak Yellow.
Inconsistencies in the testimony that she gave before the jury.
Really fucked that one up, didn't I?
And in the report that she made and gave to her employers about this incident. It's these inconsistencies about whether or not the cell phone was at her face or in her hand, whether or not she was touched on the nose or scratched on the cheek. The defense is trying to argue that what she is saying is not trustworthy or true.
Cardi B is accused of assault and battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligence, and false imprisonment. As this is a civil case, Ellis is seeking monetary damages.
Yeah, I got mixed up. Thank you, DJ Dub. Appreciate it. Your DJ skills came in very handy. Cops in Cali have busted a theft ring that apparently stole like $10 million from Home Depot.
Here at the desk, the Ventura County Sheriff and the Ventura County District Attorney says the Ventura County Retail Theft Task Force has busted the largest retail theft ring involving thefts from Home Depot stores in the country. The sheriff just had a news conference announcing 14 arrests. Take a listen.
This is also the largest organized retail theft case uncovered in Home Depot history. Over the past several months, our organized retail theft task force has been working around the clock to track down an elaborate network of thieves who are stealing from major retailers.
Good night, Lenny. There is a poll in the chat.
Focuses on the man in the center of your screen. Ventura County Sheriff James Fryhoff says that's David All, the ringleader of this theft ring. All, they say, runs a wholesale business in Tarzana and employed the men on the left side of your screen there, the retail theft crew, to go into over 71 separate Home Depots more than 600 times over the past year and a half to steal more than $10 million in high-end electrical equipment, things like dimmer switches, circuit breakers, electrical outlets, and then get those to these two property resellers, the fences essentially, where they would sell this stolen merchandise either at a wholesale business in Tarzana or online. Now, this is a video from inside of a Home Depot. This crew is now facing upwards of 48 felony counts, including grand theft, conspiracy, receiving stolen property, organized retail theft, and money laundering. During search warrants, They have recovered about $3.7 million in Home Depot property, but they expect that there is more out there. They say that this is one of the largest theft rings ever, and it dealt with Home Depot.
I knew you guys would have this exact reaction, which, I mean, I don't disagree.
San Bernardino, Riverside, and Ventura. And they expect more arrests due to his employees, the ringleader's employees at his business, also working in this retail theft ring. That's it here from the desk. I'll send it back to you.
Twitch people, if you would like to vote on what to watch after the stream, the poll is in the chat. You don't want to go anywhere. I don't think we have the full video of this, but my God, I'm glad we've got what we've got here. This was a police chase that happened. Where in the fuck is Bow Harbor? Somebody tell me where Bow Harbor is. Florida. Of course it was Florida. I should have known it was Florida just by the fucking headline. Wrong way police chase ends when American flag waving suspect gets stuck on the beach. That's such a Florida headline.
And a police chase ending where you'd least expect it, on the beach.
A wrong-way driver slamming into patrol cars before getting stuck in the sand. And what police say he did next is even more bizarre. Local 10's Rush Lowe live now in Surfside with our exclusive tonight. Rush.
When I say wild, this is what I mean, everyone. According to police, this guy took cops on a chase. He goes the wrong way down 96th Street, jumping curbs, lands right here, okay, on the beach. And then you have all these cops coming out saying, get out of the car, get out of the car. You have a cop who jumps in one-handed, gets the guy, tasers him, and guess what? It's all on video.
Yeah!
Simply wild video out of Surfside. How many times do you see this? A police pursuit that winds up on the beach?
Driver, get out of your vehicle. Driver, get out of the vehicle.
A wrong way driver flees cops.
Exit the vehicle. Driver, exit your vehicle.
Get stuck in the sand. No, not your average day on the beach.
Don't get in the way of this guy. No. Don't get in the way of this guy.
It said it started in Bow Harbor and ended in Surfside. I apologize. This is apparently both North Miami. What wild video.
Each?
Driver, get out of your vehicle. Driver, get out of the vehicle.
A wrong way driver flees cops.
Exit the vehicle. Driver, exit your vehicle.
Get stuck in the sand. No, not your average day on the beach.
Don't get in the way of this guy. No. Don't get in the way of this guy.
They talk about our job. They say 99% boredom and 1% sheer terror. And guess what? That 1% can happen anytime.
The call goes out as a guy driving the wrong way down 96th Street, and he's not stopping and straight up.
What did you guys see? Flash, did you see like the what the fuck, the weapons cache in that truck?
It can happen anytime.
The call goes out as a guy driving the wrong way down 96th Street, and he's not stopping and straight onto the beach. Cops need to get him out of his car. He's stuck in the sand. They say he hit several squad cars. His name, Orlando Pablo Taboada. Instead of getting out of the car, cops say he smiled at officers while waving his passport and American flag at them. So finally, they need to pull him out. Check out this video.
He was controlling this guy with one arm, turned the car off with the other arm, and then was able to tase the guy to gain control. And that's when we took him out and we handcuffed him.
Here's the taser.
I tased him.
The suspect facing numerous felony charges.
In my experience, one of the most dangerous situations that I could imagine our officers and the public could have faced.
Quite the comment from Chief Press, who's been in this business for decades. The reason it was so dangerous, this happened in the morning hours. There were people all over the beach. Chief Press said his cops did an amazing job. We're live in Surfside tonight. I'm Rosh Lowe, Local 10 News.
There have been school shootings, you freak, indeed. Lecter, thank you for being a freaking follower. You just got here. You can vote on what to watch after the Troll Patrol ends here in about 5 minutes. But first, we still got a couple of crazy stories. A mom and a son led rescuers to their location by leaving handwritten notes. This happened in... It was a scout camp. It doesn't say when where it happened. Oh, California. Happened in California.
It's a trail of mysterious notes. Help, me and my son are stranded. Call 911. Here's another. Please get help for us. There's also this. Torn bed sheets tied to branches. Turns out the clues are the work of this mom and her Cub Scout son. Tammy Laird was driving her 9-year-old son Sterling to Cub Scout camp when their GPS took them off-road onto this rugged trail.
It started getting steeper and steeper, rockier and rockier. I knew we were lost at that point.
Suddenly, their car broke down.
I was plugging my ears because I didn't like the sound.
Were you frightened?
Yeah, definitely frightened. Didn't know what to do.
With no GPS or cell service, high-tech devices were of no use at all. So Tammy used an old-fashioned method to leave clues for search and rescue teams to help find them.
Tammy cut up a brown bed sheet that she had packed for camp and marked their trail like bread.
Did he get his something badge out of this?
And secured them to rocks.
This one says, help, me and my son are stranded up the road to the right.
Being a Cub Scout, young Sterling also sprang into action with his survival training.
If you get stuck somewhere, then you want to blow this, and you blow it 3 times.
That's the signal of a life-threatening emergency and can be heard for miles. They wisely took shelter in their car overnight, deep in California's Sierra Nevada. 24 hours later, a search and rescue team discovers one of the notes. Then they spot mom and son in the distance.
Oh, there's something up there.
Tammy sobs and falls into her rescuer's arms.
It was an amazing feeling.
Only Inside Edition was there when they reunited with the Calaveras County rescue team that saved them.
Hi, good to see you.
How you doing? Good to see you.
How critical were the notes and the flags that were put out?
Very critical. We would have passed by the road that they were on if they hadn't left notes. When I first saw it, I jokingly said, oh, is that a note? And when we pulled up to check it out, it was actually a note.
As the Scout motto goes, always be prepared. Clearly, this mom and son took it to heart.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, and one more story before we go tonight. If you remember, I had mentioned something about how a news station filed a copyright claim against me. That news station is WRAL in Raleigh, North Carolina. So WRAL in Raleigh, North Carolina. Following our back and forth that we've had to go through, my videos have been restored and my strikes have been taken off my channel. Why? Because I absolutely had the right to use your content the way I did. It's called fair fucking use, you pieces of shit. So guess what? Just because I'm a vindictive little shit and I'm petty, I'm going to your website and I'm pulling a story to play. Fucking claim copyright on this, you bitches. Because I'll win again. Suck my dick, WRAL.
I have a second outlook at life now myself.
30-year-old Travis Kurtz is counting his blessings after surviving a lightning strike last Monday.
I was the most scared I've ever been in my life because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Almost a week later, he returned to the spot where it happened, outside Risotto's Pizzeria in Seminole.
It's not an easy thing being here right now, to be honest with you. It's still really fresh.
Miss JD Vance.
More than I thought it would.
Kurt says it was a typical workday. As the property manager of this complex, he was doing his usual walkthrough when he suddenly felt a zap.
He fucks rocking chairs instead of couches.
Like today. Very little rain.
Everything became a blur for Kurtz, but not for Mark Risotto, the pizza shop owner who helped save his life.
I felt the whole building rumble. The whole building shook.
Risotto heard it all unfold.
I was over here by the ovens, and I heard the loud crack, and I'm like, that hit something. I looked out this window, and that's when I found him.
Lying between the oak tree and a mailbox. Risotto says he had a customer call 911, and within seconds, he was out the door helping Kurtz.
His body was right here, and his face was planted right here.
Choking on mud and grass with his body convulsing.
I mean, my heart rate, according to the ambulance, was at one point 265 beats a minute.
He was on fire. His body was like so hot, it was like incredible.
Kurtz described the pain as unimaginable.
Every single muscle in my body contracted to the point where I couldn't function. I couldn't talk, I couldn't walk, I couldn't do anything. And that's the best way I can explain the amount of pain. It was unbearable.
But after several days in the hospital, Kurtz survived.
You're a very lucky young man, I'm telling you. God was on your side. You had guardian angels.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
He is still struggling with memory loss and motor skills, but through it all, Kurtz's girlfriend has been right by his side.
I was definitely not ready to be feeding my partner.
Yeah, God sent the lightning bolt.
Very, very grateful that it was the outcome that it was.
With the newfound sense,
literally an act of God,
they have a message to others.
Don't be a Florida man. Don't go out in the rain.
Florida man? That was North Carolina. Don't drag Florida into this. If it was Florida man, he would have been bashing the cops and waving an American flag while he did it. This is America. Oh, and I guess breaking since we've been on the show. I have not talked about this issue at all, but I guess this is news now. The Cracker Barrel has given in. Cancel culture wins. We thank our guests for sharing your voices and love for Cracker Barrel. We said we would listen, and we have. Our new logo is going away, and the old timer will remain. They brought back the cracker. At Cracker Barrel, it's always been and always will be about serving up delicious food, which is not true. Warm welcomes and the kind of country hospitality that feels like family. As a proud American institution, our 70K hardworking employees look forward to welcoming you to our table soon. I have not been to a Cracker Barrel since 2011. They rage baited for free advertising. They absolutely did. Outrage marketing is what it's called. I have not been to a Cracker Barrel since 2011. I took my girlfriend at the time, Heather, the Sunday school teacher, took her to Cracker Barrel. This would have been, it was later in the evening, I will admit, but they were still open. They were open till like 10 or something. It would have been like 8 or 9 probably. And I ordered a country fried steak, and they told me they did not have gray gravy. And I said, you're a fucking Cracker Barrel. How can you not have gray gravy? Breakfast gravy, sawmill gravy, whatever they call it. They said, we can hit you with some brown gravy on your country fried steak. And I said, no, I don't want brown gravy on my country fried steak. Your Cracker Barrel not having goddamn country gravy is like going to McDonald's and asking for a fucking Big Mac, and they're telling me we don't have Big Macs. Your fucking job is breakfast. They fired Brad's wife. Oh God, that's a blast from the past. Yeah, I don't know what their gravy is like because I haven't had it in 20 years because the last time I went there, they didn't have fucking gravy. I like country fried steak, and that's what I'm going to get. If I go to like a steakhouse or a Cracker Barrel, something like that, almost certainly I'm going to get country fried steak. It's difficult to make on your own, so I don't get to cook it a lot for myself. I don't know, Thread, because I haven't been there in 20 years. Back when I was a kid, their gravy was just fine. I don't trust a steak. I don't trust steakhouses. I don't trust steak in restaurants. I cook those myself. That's why if you take me to a steakhouse, I'm probably going to get a country fried steak. I make steak myself at home, and it's way better than what I'm going to get at a steakhouse. Anyway, fuck you, WRAL. I dare you to claim that video. I dare you. We'll go through it all again. It is National Dog Day.
Shakespeare wrote, "Dog will have his day."
Well, this is the day, National Dog Day.
Established 21 years ago to raise awareness of the many dogs in need of a human.
But it's also a day to recognize how much we humans need dogs.
An estimated 500,000 service dogs in the U.S. help people with disabilities.
About 1,600 dogs serve in our military. Tasks include sniffing out explosives. The American Kennel Club has a list of scientifically proven benefits of being owned by a dog. Dogs can reduce stress, helping us live longer.
Dogs can make us less lonely, a constant source of unconditional love.
And dogs can make us happier. The Kennel Club cites a study that found staring into your dog's eyes can raise your level of oxytocin, known as the love hormone. I'm feeling it right now, a whole rush, because that's my dog, Angel, Black Labrador.
And these are some of the other dogs that make our evening news family happy. Mark Twain said, "Heaven goes by favor. If it went by merit, you would stay out and your dog would go in."
In the meantime, let us thank our dogs for giving us a little taste of heaven.
Oh, sweet babies.
As you know, we lost our...
I don't even know what won the poll.
But this Sunday, we went and looked at a rescue, so help is on the way.
This is good. You feel better.
Oh, shit.
Exactly, and I'll be much more...
We had a tie. We had a tie between a police chase and Rick and Morty. So I guess it's going to be a police chase and then Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty during a police chase? I don't know. I don't know how we're going to handle this, but we're going to say goodbye to everybody on YouTube, Kick, D Live. Go ahead, light one up, kick one, blah, blah, blah. Kick one back. Light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We could do a Rick and Morty police chase.